Joining me this evening, we've got Dylan Burns TV. We've got Rachel's Ghost from Ghost Town Politics. We've got Shaman Omar. You all saw him Monday. You'll see him again Thursday. We've got the Alex Kirsch Project. And of course, my personal favorite, maybe not, maybe so, Admiral Gibbs, all joining me this evening for some fun. I believe most people are dual streaming. If you'd like to go check them out, like, subscribe, share, their links are listed in the video description. We're going to start just with a little quick round robin, introducing yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, whatever you want to say. Feel free to plug away. Mr. Gibbs, let's start with you.
All right. I am Admiral Gibbs, host of the Debate Championship Series and Give Me a Break. I lean right, and we whoop that ass.
Fair enough. Alex, to you, please.
Hi, I'm Alex from the Alex Kirsch Project. I don't stream on YouTube anymore, but I am found on TikTok and Instagram. I'm up here representing Misfit Formation, and I am a retired U.S. Army retiree and 20 years. Deployed to Iraq 4 times and Afghanistan once. And also I am a blue-collar worker, former blue-collar worker, and I'm a pragmatic progressive.
Fair enough. Thank you. A shaman to you, sir.
How's it going? My name is Shaman Omar. I am a debater here. I'm here to try to swim through the racist waters and shed some light upon some confusion here.
Fair enough. Perfect. And we're going to mind all of those TOS words that we learned on the last show, right? Yes, ma'am. Rachel, to you, please.
All right. Yeah, I better watch myself, too. I'm Canadian, so everybody's going, what the hell you have a fish in this fight for? But here we find ourselves anyway. And I'm a post-operative transsexual, male to female. And I think the whole thing's nonsense. It's my own psychological torture. But, you know, at least I'm aware of my own sickness. And I'm MAGA all the way. I love President Trump. I support this administration. I think good things are happening. There's a new world order being established. Trump's at the head of it. Good times, fun times ahead. So, sir, I am absolutely honored to be here, especially because of your lovely self. I'm a big fan. And boy, you're really good at being a girl. I work hard, but you're just so damn good at it. I just love how you're pulling it off. And but I'm happy. We're going to have some fun.
Thank you, Rachel. And Dylan, not last, not least, but perfectly where you need to be. Feel free to tell them all about yourself.
Sure. My name is Dylan Burns. I'm a conflict journalist and streamer. I mostly cover the war in Ukraine by embedding with the Ukrainian armed forces when they go on missions along the front line, drone teams, artillery teams, different groups of infantry, stuff like that. I also, cover some stuff in the United States, mostly law enforcement. Just finished filming ICE activity in Minneapolis. Besides that, I stream. You can support me online at DylanBurns TV.
Perfect. Thank you to all of you for being here on this wonderful evening. And don't worry, if you have an opinion, you will be able to set the pace and join this panel later. We're going to get through a few questions here with just these fine people, but I will open the floodgates of hell towards the end of the evening, and then we will go on in gauntlet mode, and you can all have your fun and play as well. So still stay tuned, listen to what everybody's saying. So when you have something to say, you can come up and say it. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, do all of those fine things wherever you're watching from. We're going to kick it off with the first question of the evening. The U.S. service members should prioritize their oath to the Constitution by refusing orders they deem unlawful, even if it risks accusations of sedition or insubordination. We recently saw a Marine go into the Senate and verbalize his dislike of what's going on. And we've seen a few other videos kind of surface and other people make their way towards the front lines verbally and vocally to let us know that the military may or may not be approving of this. Admiral Gibbs, why don't you kick us off with a few thoughts of your own on it, and we'll move our way around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think that the U.S. soldiers should all obviously be able to, reject unconstitutional orders. I don't really see much contention coming from the panel in that case. However, I do think it's important. I have some notes here, and we can get into the specifics. I'm not going to try to argue with former military members about military policy, but I will say the United States has put forth what most people refer to as the Hague Act, right? So if they were going to try U.S. soldiers in the Hague, we're going to invade the Hague. So I think international law is a joke. We are the American empire. Fuck these baby back bitches. Get bombed. Get good. And I don't give a shit what happens over there except for us winning.
Fair enough. Alex, to you, please, your thoughts.
Well, absolutely, they should definitely disregard and disobey orders that are not hereby lawful. It's not so much about international law, but it's because they're bound by the Uniform Code of Military Justice, also known as UCMJ. It's Article 92, which basically means that they are not allowed to obey orders that are illegal or unlawful. We saw what happened in regards to Abu Ghraib. They were told to do things to prisoners that they were not allowed to do, and they did it anyway. They said we were told to. That's not a good enough excuse for it. So the fact of the matter is, if the soldiers are told, if the service members are told to do an illegal order because Pete Hegseth has already stated, oh, there's no stupid rules of engagement. It basically makes me wonder, are they going to actually push our service members to commit illegal acts, essentially? I hope not. But thing is, we've already seen what happened as a result of that. We've already seen one school that's been hit. Now it's probably going to come contentious. But the fact of the matter is, service members should always remember their oath. And I remember certain senators actually said, don't break the law, basically. And Trump lost his mind over that. So that should be up for concern. But we'll get into it.
All right, Shaman, to you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they take an oath when they swear in to represent and protect the Constitution and protect the people of the United States. And that's self-explanatory. So I think it's a case-by-case scenario, but at the same time, they have the class system of who's in charge, but ultimately each person took the oath. So 100%. And I don't give a shit about international law either.
All right, fair enough. Rachel, to you, darling.
Got to listen to the Constitution. So there's no argument, as Admiral Gibbs was saying. I reiterate his viewpoint that that's not the issue. I think where it becomes conflated is when media gets a hold of it and they go, Trump's, the big scary guy, as Alex was intimating. I hope it doesn't go that way. That's predictive. That's conjecture. That's hypothetical. It hasn't happened. Certainly, if any illegal laws or orders are mandated by the administration, they need to be defied. It's your patriotic duty as an American soldier or Navy, Air Force, whatever branch of service you're in, to listen to the Constitution and support that Constitution. And also, but of course, there is also, obeying the proper rule of law in all of that. That's an understood. That should be a given.
Fair enough. And Dylan, to you, please.
I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Follow the Constitution, follow the Code of Military Justice. There are means by which, if you disobey orders that were illegal, you can appeal that within the system. And depending upon whether or not you were right, you can actually be found to have been lawfully not following an order. But generally speaking, when we're talking about somebody protesting against the war, when you're a soldier, you are an operative of the state. You have signed up on a contract to defend your nation. And at that point, you are still an individual, but you are a tool for the government. And so let's say that the United States was to declare war on, I don't know what country. It doesn't really matter what country. And it went through Congress, it went through the whole process, and you didn't agree with it. That's kind of tough shit. You can try to say, I don't want to do this. You can try to throw moral objections. But ultimately, at a moment of struggle, if the United States say was torn in two and they had to fight, it is their job to do so. So I would say that somebody should really reflect before they sign a contract exactly what they're going to be doing with the next 5 to 10 to 15 years of their life. Are they willing to make the sacrifices that are necessary and be that tool of the state in order to get both the benefits of being a tool of the state, the social benefits you get, and the honor that comes with being a United States veteran? So I think that ultimately, yes, don't follow anything that's unconstitutional. Don't torture, don't execute civilians, disobey those orders if you're ever put in that position. But ultimately, when you're a soldier, you're a tool of the state. And so when we're talking about somebody protesting against the war that was started constitutionally, mind you, there's not much he can do in uniform. Out of uniform, he's a free man.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned moral objection, and I wanted to kind of throw a wrench into the panel regarding morality in this, because morality, some see it as objective, some see it as subjective. But when it comes to being a military member and having to make decisions or having to follow orders, we see, or at least I've been seeing, a morality claim being thrown around in a lot of different spaces on social media, particularly regarding the military following these orders. Do you have a moral duty to not, or do you have a moral duty to combat it or talk back to it? I mean, we understand the duty portion of it. It is your oath, that your job, so on and so forth. But is there a morality claim that can be built into that as well?
I mean, you swear an oath
You
to
mean
the
like from a
Constitution,
human perspective?
right? Oh, all right, you want to go first?
No, I was going to ask to clarify. Like, you mean morality perspective from as your role as a U.S. military service member, or as a human?
As well, I guess you could go both. I mean, my morality as a military member, am I killing people that I think might actually be innocent? And am I doing something where I can go to bed at night and sleep, knowing that I did my job, or I did the right thing, or is this going to bother me for years because I think I might have done the wrong thing morally, but also as a human, and how that affects you as a human and plays in?
Well, the thing is, like, Sarah, I know you were in the military as well, and I know. Did you ever go down range actually?
For in boot camp, we did range.
Well, I'm talking about deploy. Did you ever deploy to like Iraq?
No.
Oh, okay. Mm-mm. Because anytime you get into country, you're actually briefed on all the rules of engagement, law of armed conflict. You're briefed on all these things. You're supposed to go through things called rehearsals. You're supposed to say, okay, let's say, for example, a car pulls up. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to do like the escalation of force. You know, you're supposed to stop, show, shout, shoot, the whole nine. Like, all soldiers are actually briefed this stuff before they actually get into theater. And like any good combat unit will actually go through things called rehearsals. Like, if you don't do rehearsals, you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because the thing is, it all becomes repetition. That's like muscle memory kind of deal. Every soldier is briefed this. Now, I can't quote to any other military that does things like this, but when we had the Iraqi military, when we trained the Iraqi army, Iraqi police, the ERU, that was the thing we talked to them about. We showed them the same exact procedures. Now, people say, oh, well, that just takes too much time. Well, if you do it enough times, sometimes it just becomes instinct. You can actually know what's right and wrong. Now, people say, well, I'd be much rather judged by 12 than care by 6. Okay, I understand that. But the thing is, though, if you find yourself at a traffic control point or TCP and a car is coming up and you do everything right, nothing's going to happen to you. But if a car is just like walks up or something, or if a guy exits out of his car and, you know, he may not hear you and you just shoot him without warning, then you're going to get in trouble, basically. It's all about case by case basis. So that's the thing we have to pay attention to the most.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, the morality question, I mean, if you're a Quaker, maybe not join the military. So I think Dylan made a good point about that. Once you put the uniform on, then there's certain responsibilities. A lot of people join the military in a peacetime scenario, never imagining that they're going to be called upon to put their life on the line for the sake of the nation state. And this is what armies do. They're hired to break and destroy things, kill the enemy and break property and destroy things. We're doing a good job of it right now in Iran.
You get a vote as a citizen, but not as a soldier.
That's fair. Okay.
I was gonna say, it feels like we're mostly in agreement with was that what I had it pulled up that Alex just said at the UCMJ. I think we mostly are in agreement in regards to like follow the Constitution, you know, and like if it's mostly lawful, or if you think it's not breaking the Constitution, follow it and then deal with the consequences later. It seems like everybody's got to say the same thing. I think what's more interesting about this is we extend it, because is it the UCMJ or USMJ, which whatever?
UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Thank you. Yeah, the UCMJ in there states, I believe the number 3 thing I looked up on there was it states that we should also follow international law, which is interesting to me because we have the ASPA, which is basically the Invade Hague law, and then we don't follow international law, right? If you look at international law regarding like cluster munitions, you know, we're dropping them in mass, right? Like if we send the B-52s over, you're getting cluster bombed, right? And in theory, you can say that's a war crime, and we would start trying, like I don't know, B-52 pilots or bombers, I guess, whoever if they have, I don't know how they fucking fly the plane. I'm not Air Force person, but like whoever's in there, they could theoretically try them in The Hague for war crimes, and then we would be obligated to go and invade. So like, at what point do we stop following international law versus U.S. law trumps it? And I find that kind of interesting right now. And when should you like decide I'm not going to follow this law because it's internationally law bad, but U.S. law okay? Like, is there situations do y'all think that's key?
Cluster munitions is a
I
great...
would say.
Oh, want to go on?
Go ahead, Dylan. Go ahead, Dylan.
Sorry, Dylan. You go, brother. Don't worry.
Go ahead.
I think cluster munitions is a good test case because there was a lot of discussion once the United States provided a lot of cluster munitions to Ukraine, which were being used very effectively against like dispersed Russian positions throughout tree lines because it could cover a large area. And when the Russians were doing these big massed infantry assaults, it just worked so much better. Like one cluster bomb was worth like 5 or 10 other shells. Absolutely. And so the military effectiveness, despite the international standards, ended up overtaking any individual's predilections about morality. Because when it comes to a state's survival, a lot of these rules will fall on the wayside, especially if those fighting you also don't follow these rules. You're essentially tying your hands behind your back for an opponent who will not do the same thing for you. If they end up winning the war and they're not holding themselves to those standards, are they going to be a party that's going to treat you kindly? For the Ukrainians, that ended up not being the case. And so they don't sign on to these types of cluster munitions law. The United States also doesn't sign on to said cluster munitions law. But we were moving on the trend of getting rid of our cluster munitions. That's the way we were going. That's probably going to be reversed now that its usefulness in large interstate warfare has been proven. And I think that, there is something to be said about choosing what agreements you get into. The United States chose not to get into the cluster munitions ban. We chose to get into other things like the Geneva Convention, saying we don't want our POWs executed because we don't want to execute their POWs. And so we can do that as a nation state. We can uphold ourselves to certain standards of international law, which I do care about, while also saying we don't think that the international ban on aerosol spray or whatever that thing could be is necessary.
Yeah, so I would just say the reason it's not that I don't care about international law necessarily, it's just that international law is complete bullshit. I mean, I would say I could make the argument that we are following international law to a T in real time because we write it. And so we can do whatever we want and we'll just say it's international law. We'll interpret it however we want. And we can just rewrite it in any court, in any international court, in any precedents we want. Period. And that's what Rome was always able to do. And that's what the new Rome America is able to do, So I'm not saying that's right, but that's just really how it is because, white phosphorus is illegal, but we watched in video, the Israelis drop it in the Gaza Strip. We've done the same thing. There was a time with cluster munitions. I mean, we watched during the 1500s, the French were using cluster munitions in the form of cannon, and then they were attaching the change, and that became illegal. So things become illegal and then legal in different forms based off who says it's illegal and legal when they develop it. I mean, that's really how war works.
Well, when it comes down to white phosphorus, the United States is banned from actually utilizing white phosphorus against civilians, basically. But you can actually use it because as somebody that actually used white phosphorus to destroy homemade explosive factories, that's what we primarily used it for. And this is something that actually had to go up through the chains. There had to be legal scholars, there had to be judge advocate general people that would actually go over through it to make sure that we are minimizing as much collateral damage as possible. So in order to use white phosphorus, it has to be a target that has explosives and munitions. Now, if there's somebody in there, that's kind of treading a fine line, but at the same time, the main target is the explosives, not the people. Now, if you use it against people, that's a different story. If you were to use it against an entire group of people and it spreads out over to a school, a hospital, stuff like that, even if the hospital is the intended target, that's when it creates an international incident because it's considered a chemical war, a chemical weapon, essentially. That's when it becomes really fine line.
A good example of this is tear gas. Tear gas used in civilian crowd dispersal, absolutely legal. Mm-hmm. If you use tear gas in a military context against enemy positions, absolutely illegal.
Why is that?
Alex just made my case in point right there. Because as he said, it is a gray area, but we're the ones who decide if that gray becomes white or if it becomes black. Because in 2003, right at the beginning of 2003, we were dropping white phosphorus inside of mountain ranges in Afghanistan. And we said that they were in there and they're hiding things in there. There's people in there. And then those white phosphorus droppings hit the wind and went through towns and stuff. And we just said, oops, 9/11, and they were like, okay, let's go. So, and again, don't forget, and that's, I mean, again, just to clarify, like, I'm born in Arlington, Virginia. I'm American. I'm probably as American as anyone on this panel. Will I don't have a red, white, and blue flag behind me, but like, we also have to be realistic. If you're in the middle of Rome during the height of the Roman Empire, you can still say we're in the middle of doing some fuck shit, and you don't have to agree with it.
I guess what I'm asking though is because, like, I guess we're like, once again, surprisingly, I'm surprised how the consensus here is, like, when is it okay to say I'm going to value the international law over the decision of the U.S.? Like, it's not technically it's not technically against American military policy, right? But it is international law. Like we use the cluster bomb one, for example. Let me just use this again, right? I know we didn't sign on to that treaty, but like, the argument would be like, right, okay, you said, Dylan, it was effective for Ukraine because they're just trying to survive. Well, let's say we probably will do this. I don't know. I won't be surprised. Send the B-52s in and we start cluster bombing Iran, right? That's not a situation where we're trying to survive. That's a situation where we're just like, hey, we're going to whoop that ass. And when we're doing that, like, I feel like, okay, maybe if I'm a B-52 pilot, I would maybe say, I wouldn't do this, but maybe I could see somebody saying, hey, I object to this. This is immoral. I don't want to be the pilot flying this. And I guess it just comes down to where your vote comes in. Like, when you're saying you don't get a vote. But at the same time, if we're gonna like follow the UCMJ, like, where is this line? What is the divider where international law will trump like an order if it's not against the Constitution?
I don't think soldiers get a vote. If you've been ordered to take out a target, as long as it's not illegal under the laws that you are supposed to follow as a soldier, you don't get to say, no, I don't want to. That's just your role as a soldier. Now, as a citizen, you can go vote against the war. You can go say, I want to vote against a cluster munitions ban. You can go do all those things as a private citizen. You can't do that as a soldier, and there's no way for us to structurally build into the system, I don't like that policy. If we do that, then everyone's going to say, I'm morally against running into that machine gun fire. So am I. But I mean, I still have to do it for my job. That's just part of the rules. But I will say, when it comes to the United States writing the international order, I think this is a very simplistic description. The United States is very descriptive, very impactful, very, very institutional when it comes to how these orders were made in the first place. But we wouldn't have the Hague Invasion Act in the first place if we were the ones who wrote the rules. If we were the ones who wrote the rules, then we wouldn't need to put in place a law saying we're going to go invade the court and take our soldiers back if they put our soldiers on trial. That shows that we don't have such direct control. A lot of the international institutions' rejection of Israeli actions is another example of this.
Well, and kind of going back to like what we're talking about is like, where exactly does the line get drawn? Again, it's always on a case-by-case basis, and Dylan hit the nail on the head, and so did Gibbs a little bit. It's just like a lot of these decisions, like when it comes down to like some of these planned target missions, like for example, if you're going to use an artillery gun line to target a certain area, they're going to weigh like the options. Okay, what kind of munitions are we talking about? How many? Like what are you going to be using this whole time? Are you going to use smoke projectiles to like screen the advancement, or so that way troops can retreat? It's all stuff like this is planned well in advance. And when it comes, and I'm sure the same thing is for the Air Force and the Army. If they're going to drop cluster munitions, they have to like weigh the options. Like, what is the most acceptable outcome? It's not so much like best case scenario. It's just, and as my friend Michael Hilliard and Dylan knows what I'm talking about, he says with geopolitics, it's never best case, worst case. It's option A or option B. That's all it really is. It's very clean cut and dry, because the thing is, like, you say, oh, what's the best? There is no best case scenario. If people are going to die, that's not a best case scenario. It's just option A or option B. You want either 50 people to die, or do you want 5,000 people to die? That's kind of like how it gets kind of weighed in, basically.
So what are our thoughts on military members vocalizing their disagreement with what's going on?
Active or retired?
I would say active, because I believe you kind of are limited in what you can and can't say and do. But I still ponder the idea of, are they still talking about it somewhere? Maybe not online, but even amongst themselves, or so on and so forth. But even verbalizing it, what would our thoughts be?
Well, that's impossible to regulate. What you're gonna do? Tell the boys to stop talking about, like, I don't want to die for Israel. You've five months in the brig. You can't. If they're chatting, they're chatting. That's morale. You can't punish people for just having bad morale or not agreeing exactly with the war they're fighting. But if
yes,
somebody
they can. Yes, they can.
No, you can't. Just for
Yes,
having
they
bad
can.
morale. It depends on like how you conduct yourself in your verbalization. If you're like, I don't really agree
Ask
with the
Alex.
war.
Yeah, you can stand up in your barrack and say something like that and get punished 100%. You don't
Well,
have to be on social media.
it depends on what
to say
you say. If you say "fuck the captain," I'm not gonna. Yeah, of course, there's certain things you
that.
can't.
Everything you just said, what you just said as an active military member, you would be punished.
Well,
Yes,
talking
in the
between
middle
soldiers, just chatting between soldiers.
Okay, sure, you could get in trouble 100%.
If
If you
an
vocalize
active
stuff
military member.
online, if you vocalize stuff in media, but just chit chatter between soldiers saying, "I don't really agree with this, but it's the job. I'm going to do it." That's not punishable.
Well, the thing
Standing up in the middle of the barracks, hold on, Alex, standing up in the middle of the barracks and saying, "Fuck this! I'm not going to do this. This is wrong."
Well, no, that's
What's gonna
different. I'm
happen
not going to do it as disobeying orders. That's separate.
You're talking
No,
like
it's words. No, that's words. You didn't do or not do anything. You spoke. You said,
Well, yeah,
you
but
can
I'm
say
going to
whatever
kill my
you want
commander.
amongst-
It's also words, but like I'm talking about a simple critique. I don't like it, an expression of dissatisfaction. That's allowed.
Yes, you're not allowed.
to
No,
do-
it's not.
Yes,
What are you talking
Simple-
about?
of
What
course it
military
is.
in the world? What military in the world are you allowed to say? I don't
Every
like the
military
general
I've ever
orders."
interacted
Oh my
with. I
God.
don't know.
That's video games.
Rachel had
Video games, That's the
something.
real world. I don't know what you're
And
talking
say
about.
something
That's the
again.
real
Rachel had something to chime in. I want to hand it over to
the
her.
world.
Yeah, no, I was just going to submit the idea. We had our friend Poetry on Plastic. He's a military member, active, out of uniform. But when it came to talking about Trump and, because people are he's such a controversial figure, unfortunately, he said, "I'm not going to talk about the chain of command. There's no way I'm allowed to. I'm not going anywhere near it. So we're not going to discuss that at all." He's not going to venture an opinion, even though those that know him know what his opinion is. And but it was I thought it was an interesting take from his perspective, being a service member, active, that there's no way he's going to broker that. However, as Dylan was saying, it's this is different because it was an online panel discussion that we're having over on my channel. For the context of it. So I just wanted to add that because the initial point was, hey, can you speak out against the administration and, or, whatever's happening, chain of command. And Poetry on Plastic's position was, no, definitely not. Not going to do it.
Yeah, it says right here, Sarah, real quick, it just says right here, article, it says under the UCMJ, article 88 and 89, just specifically talking about contempt towards officials and disrespect towards superior commission officers, including orders, all the way up to the president and commander in chief.
Okay.
You have some First Amendment rights, not all, unfortunately.
Okay, let me be clear. What I was saying was not that you can say anything in uniform. My statement was you can functionally express dissatisfaction with what you're doing in the armed forces. And basically almost every armed force.
No, you can't.
Okay, then I guess every soldier I've ever talked to's lied to me. Every time I filmed people expressing discontent and showed it, that I guess they're all in prison. I don't know. I guess it never happens.
Come on, Alex, sir, you were in the military. Can you stand up and say, "I don't like the fucking president"?
That's not what I said. You fucking whatever.
That's not what he said. But please let me
hold on. You're going gray, and I'm going black and white. You're either allowed to speak out against anywhere up the chain or the command,
I'm talking about how it
not.
functionally works. That's
You're
what I'm
not allowed to. I just pull up Article 80 and 89. I just pulled it up. You can't.
Yeah, disrespect command, saying I don't like this order, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's not going to get you arrested.
Yeah, there's punishment. Yeah,
okay. Nobody's going to do anything to you. You're going to be fine. No one's going to punish you for that.
Yeah. I hope all our military veterans. Okay. Good one.
Let me kind of win. Okay, so here's the thing, okay? In 2004, there was actually an entire unit, a logistics unit, that refused to go out on a mission because it was too dangerous, because at that time, we didn't really have a whole emphasis on route clearance. This is like long before we actually sent out route clearance teams, which were actually supposed to clear the area of IEDs, because IEDs were newish in 2003, so this is in 2004. But they refused to go out on additional missions, which, yes, that's going to cause, because, Dylan can tell you after spending time in Ukraine, the most important thing isn't the infantry, it's the logistics. If you can get your logistics from point A to point B effectively, you're going to have a better chance of winning that war. When the logistics gets fucked up, things are going to start coming apart because you don't have your ammunition, you don't have your fuel, you don't have your water, you don't have your food, all of it. It's all really important. But they refused to go out on this mission because, for one, it was too dangerous, which I understand that concern, because if you send the mission, the unit out, and that convoy blows up, then guess what? You're down soldiers, you're down equipment, you're down all that kind of stuff. So that's point number one. Point number two, General McChrystal literally stated how much he did not like Barack Obama, and he was fired immediately. Now, here's the thing. You cannot, if you're a military member, you cannot disrespect the chain of command. Even like if you're off duty, and as long as you say, I speak for the military, you're not going to be bound by the Hatch Act. You can, however, be reprimanded by your unit, even if you're off duty, because people will know you're serving the military.
That's
this is why,
exactly.
You'll get punished. Sometimes it's a slap on the wrist, depends on your rank, really, because you can be like a first lieutenant and you'll just get a slap on the wrist. You'll probably get a GOMAR, which is a general reprimand order. If you're a private, you're going to get extra duty. You'll be restricted for 14 days and that's it. But like it's also on a case-by-case basis. But this is something for JAG to handle, essentially. Now, this is another reason as to why, when it comes down to the Hatch Act, you cannot do partisan politics. I don't care if it's the president or whatnot. When you do stuff like what Trump has done when he went to Fort Bragg and was selling MAGA hats, that went completely against the Hatch Act. I don't care if he's the president. You don't do shit like that. If Kamala Harris did the same thing, the right would lose their mind. I would be upset about it too. You don't do stuff like that. It's got to remain completely apolitical. The military is not supposed to be left or right. It's supposed to remain apolitical. Anyway, hopefully I answered all those questions.
Yeah. One last point, Dylan. You said you were in the Ukrainian military, right, brother?
No, I film the Ukrainian military.
Okay, but just think of it like this: if you were in boot camp, in the middle of boot camp, you're not even fully active yet, and they're like, okay, time to stand like this for 4 hours. And you go, man, fuck this. They're going to take you out and make you do 100%. That is a punishment. Okay. You're not, so all the way up. That's why we have misdemeanors. We have felonies. There's degrees of punishment for anything like that. You're not going to get executed on site.
There's degrees of punishment for disrespect, but no military can function if they punish people for showing like unhappiness with the orders they're given.
That's how they function. They function by saying march, and everyone. Yes, that's how militaries work.
That's how militaries fall apart. There's a morale collapse.
That's not military
desertions. Absolutely.
No, they don't know that no one's allowed to say anything to each other.
What CEO is going around like you know when you said you were going to go kill those soldiers and you went and you did it, but you said I think this is a bad idea before, but I'll do it anyway. You get 3 months in the brig. That's not happening. They're gonna maybe even listen to the fact that you showed dissatisfaction in that instance. Think, hey, the morale shit. We need to talk to the boys about what we're doing. That's how it works functionally.
If an entire company, like say an entire infantry company, like refused to go out on missions because of their unit commander, the unit commander will get relieved on the spot, especially if it affects unit morale. Like there's things called like EO complaints, IG complaints, which is stuff that you can file, especially if you're not happy. And if they say, I'm not doing this because our company commander is telling us to do pick up trash outside the fob, which actually did happen at one point. No, it's just not. But that's actually, it can be considered an illegal order. It's like, I'm not doing that shit because it's dangerous. One of our soldiers got blown up. We're not doing this shit anymore. And if they insist on doing that, that commander actually can get relieved. Now, he didn't get relieved for that, but you actually can have that happen. It really, and again, it's all on a case-by-case basis. It's not just black and white because there can be some nuance. It depends on the scenario, but I got to use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Sure, if they tell our soldiers, hey, guys, we need you 100 guys to walk up to the hill and flash them like at the scene of Braveheart, like you can say, I'm not going to do that, and maybe you don't get in trouble, but you can't be like, bro, so many American citizens we've watched speaking out, burning this, burning that, like that guy who like burned himself at the beginning of the Palestinian Israel thing. He was dishonorably discharged. He was already dead. They still dishonored, so like there is.
I do want to interject here because I think that there may be conflating two things. Like I think throughout history, like, I mean, going back all the way to the first Punic War, right? Like, what's his name? Xanthopus or whatever his fucking name is. He went in there and said, hey, y'all are all fucking idiots. And then when they all died, after he refused to do that, they promoted him and he fucking whooped the Romans' ass, right? And so, like, a lot of times, I think there are examples throughout history, even the U.S. Army and military, where the guy's like, this is a bad idea. I shouldn't do this. But I'm going to do it because you ordered me to. And they'll do it under protest. Then they end up being right and something bad goes wrong, happen. And then they like whatever. I think it's different to like object to an order and then do it, or object to the order on like military grounds, like, oh, this is too dangerous, you're going to waste men and materials, as opposed to, and then refuse it that manner, as opposed to what I'm really talking about when I'm like, oh, well, we're whooping their ass already. There's no need for us to go do the daytime B-52 over fucking Tehran like we did back in World War II with the B-17s. Like, I feel like that's a little bit of a different scenario. It's not like a military need at that point, right? Like, what is the line where you would be able to object in that case? That's kind of what I'm asking. Like, does that make sense? Am I making sense? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I
think we live under a much different situation than I think the line has been moved. You know, after 9/11, war on terror. Terror is a human emotion. It can never be defeated. You can just change the face of terror. We had Rule 355 that turned into the Patriot Act. We had Edward Snowden who came out and you know, time is on his side. Everything that he said, everything he pointed out, they said, oh, that's a lie, it's conspiracy, and then it turns out everything was true. All these people who speak out, whether a part of our federal, you know, security systems in the form of like CIA or just private citizen reporters, even military, ex-military, when you speak out against Rome, you get a big problem on any level.
I wanted to ask, because we are focused on the military opinion, and I will get through the super chats here in just a minute. Bear with me, guys, because I want to get through each prompt first. But my thought is a lot of non-military people are obviously throwing their opinions around on social media, in person, on the news, so on and so forth. And my biggest fear is killing
Dylan
the
Burns
military
is an immortal, morally corrupt, bankrupt man.
Morale and beating down their willingness, and you know, volunteering to go and do all of these things when you're getting beat down verbally, visually on the social media, like they shouldn't be doing this. You know, I think Candace Owens was the one that said, quit now, you know, don't do it. Don't go, turn away from them, so on and so forth. What would our thoughts be to that? Because to me, in my little brain, I'm thinking, why would you want to, verbally beat down the people who are supposed to be out there protecting you? And why would you want to kill their morale to want to go and do these things that may end up having to be your protection system? You know, so I'll hand it to you.
Well, a lot of these people openly want the fall of the U.S. empire, even though they live in it. I'm not even facetious when I say this. Like, I go on a show Mondays, right, and Primes, and Prime openly advocates every fucking week how the U.S. empire needs to fall, multipolarity is good. So, like, I love the guy; he's a nice guy, but like, he's wrong, right? And there's millions of them saying this. So, like, when you're asking why are they saying this, because they don't give a shit about what the U.S. service members are going through. And like, even if you do give a shit and you're on like the side of, oh, I think it's wrong, like, I think we've moved away from what happened post Vietnam, where everybody was like bashing the soldiers. Even if you disagree with them being over there, you're like, thank you for your service, right? Me and Alex don't get along or nothing, but I appreciate that when they were there and fought, right? I didn't go fight, you know, that he went in, right? You appreciate that, you know, or you served here, like, I didn't have to do that, you did it, right? And so I think we've moved a little bit away from that. And so when you have these people objecting, it's many of these people that go and they do like, I don't know, they want the fall of the U.S. empire, like that's what they want. And like, what are you gonna do about that? Like, of course, those people are gonna be assholes.
Well,
First Amendment, tell them to shut up. And
the issue is, it's not so, because like, here's the thing, I love my country, but there is no need. And I said this on Monday, like, Sarah was there for it, and so was Shaman. There's no need for us to go there. This is like not polling well with the American populace. And the thing is, like, a lot of us that are like, especially civilians, they respect the military, they respect the people, because they know they have no say in the matter. If they are told to go somewhere, even if they disagree with it, they have to go. It's like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? And the thing is, like, the reason why we are so upset with this, because like, Trump ran on the idea of no more wars, and here we are, we're entering another war. It doesn't matter how long it goes. And the American people say, well, wait a second, I voted for this. I voted for no more wars, and here we are going into another war. It's like, it's a complete betrayal to the American people.
Shocking.
Exactly, right? It's a complete betrayal to the American people. This is why so many people are against it. Not because they hate the military, not because they want to see the downfall of the American, but because and we're going to get into the impacts this is actually going to have. There's going to be a lot of repercussions that would come from this anyway.
I agree with Alex, everything he just said, and Admiral's right. There are lots of people who are saying down with America in America, like, that's without question. And those people should be rounded up and put in an arena.
But
Go ahead, Rachel.
The counterpoint is that there's millions of people and on social media supporting the administration, fully behind it. Also, when it comes to this war, those of us that are MAGA understand that this operation is not regime change a la George Bush. This is a whole different animal. You've never seen this before. We believe that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is establishing a new order, that the old relationships are going away, old allegiances, and that countries like Canada can very well ask themselves, like the meme says, are we the baddies? Because we're the ones that are ingratiating ourselves into China. We've had 11 of our members of parliament, essentially our version of your Congress people, that have already been identified by our intelligence agencies as being co-opted by the Chinese. So Canada's in a lot of trouble right now. So Canada is not a friend, at least in terms of our government, is not a friend to the United States, certainly not a friend to this administration, and works actively against the administration. Britain is in the same boat. Pardon the pun, because they just offered to send a couple aircraft carriers, and Trump said, no, thank you. The war's already won. You can show up, but you're not taking part in the victory dance. That belongs to us and Israel. And so I think, to look at it, if you're uninformed, it's easy to say this is a war just like any other war, a regime change. But this president, and here's the thing with MAGA, we believe him, and we believe it is power to the people. And it's the country is yours, Iran, if you want it. The republic is yours, America, if you can keep it. And it's that same spirit that's being exemplified by this administration. And keep your eyes on Cuba, because it's going to go the way of Puerto Rico. And look at Greenland as well. Spain won't give us any territory for planes. That's all right. We'll take Greenland, use it that way. And that's already been that's a fait complete. That's already been done by the administration. Incredible work by Marco Rubio and Donald Trump. So God bless the president. God bless America. By the way, kids, somebody was asking, I'm transgender type. But as I told kids in the opening remarks, I own my own mental illness. And before I move on, I want to say, without lip service, a sincere gratitude for Alex and deference to his knowledge as an actual on-the-ground soldier fighting for the country, for the freedoms we have. I love that. I had 5 uncles fight in World War II. One of them was killed April 14th, 1945, in the liberation of Holland. And to Dylan, who goes in and beds with the Ukraine, I'm totally against that war. I don't like what Ukraine represents, the trouble and the expansion. One of the questions Sarah has later in this program is about World War III. And are we going there? We have more to fear from World War III with Zelensky attacking the gas production in Hungary than we do with anything coming out of Iran. And the fact that Iran was foolish enough to attack Qatar, Saudi Arabia, those guys aren't happy. Those guys and gals are not happy. So they're getting involved on our side for this thing. Absolutely incredible. And I don't know if you kids seen the latest pictures, but the oil fields are going up all over Iran. It's absolutely amazing. And folks, if you want to watch a channel, it's called Promethean Action. And if you want to know about oil and what's happening, Trump took 300 years of hegemonic control away from Great Britain by saying, Lloyd's of London, screw you, we're going to go and play the insurance broker in the Hormuz Strait. Absolutely masterstroke by this administration. Unbelievable. MAGA, make America great again. Trump's doing it.
I nominate myself. 1 vote. Do we have a second? I mean, Rachel, I like you. I don't know anyone who asked. I don't know who asked if you were a transgender woman, but
probably the chat. It was probably the chat.
Oh, okay. I don't see the chat.
Like with my mind powers.
Psychically going there.
I love you, Rachel. I don't know if I'm talking to Rachel or Rachel's ghost, but everything that you said right there I completely disagree with for the most 90% and can debunk in half the amount of time you took to say it.
I doubt it.
I just want to say Rachel's correct. Zelensky's always been the main threat to the world, you know, obviously. I think
Why? You don't like his dance moves?
I think if you blow up a Russian pipeline, the world will, you know, enter World War III. I think these are all good points. I mean, I disagree, but I mean, should we move on to a different topic, or are we going to talk about all the Greenland? I mean, this was the Rachel podcast. That was incredible. You should do
you may feel like this is interesting though, because like you
brought a lot to the table on that one.
Well, Dylan and I are on the same like side when it comes to Ukraine, even though I'm kind of like pretty far right on most of this stuff. But it's interesting to me that the people that are MAGA, that are like conservatives that are against the war in Ukraine, are a lot of them are pro the war in Iran. Now, there's obviously some kind of overlap where it's like we're anti-Israel war, we're anti-Ukraine. That's some, but there's like a large portion that's like anti-Ukraine, pro-Iran, and that doesn't really make sense to me because the whole reason Trump's letting it like go the way it is going to Ukraine and not giving them like enough to just whoop their ass and leave is because it behooves America to have Russia bogged down in like a forever war. And then it behooves America again to take out one of their major like supply pieces of what it was BRICS. Now it's like SINK and take out Iran. Like these are what at least
that's
seems
true
like
in
the
the
strategies.
50s.
Well, sure.
That's true. When there was the Soviet Union.
Well, I guess we can argue about that in a second. I guess what I'm asking really is like, okay, why is there, if you believe the Trump rhetoric and you were saying he's taken out the BRICS people, then why are you against Ukraine but pro-Iran? Because the logic there is the same. Like, right? Because it's anti-Russia. Now, what Omar's saying is a totally different objection that we could dive into. And I'm more willing to do that.
Yeah, no, you're right, Admiral. We'll table that for after. But to your point that you just said right now, it's because whatever the MAGA dictation is, similar to a Pope's edict, they just follow it. Because I have a question for Rachel. Rachel, is MAGA right now in this year the same as MAGA in 2015?
Oh, is it the same?
The same ideology, make America great. Does it mean the same thing to you right now as it did in 2015 when it's going down the golden escalator?
Yeah, I think it does.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I was all about it in 2016 from a Hegelian dialectic perspective, this or that. Yeah. But I couldn't be more against because I don't see any make America great. I see make Israel great. I see utilizing America. I see massive foreign influence. I see infiltration of all of our elected officials on a federal level. I see, and I do agree with you about the system going down and the new hegemony happening, but that's also even worse. The new world order and the new. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, my counter argument to that. Remember, Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese spy as her driver for 20 years and apparently didn't know anything about it, but I suspect not. Then we got Swalwell with Fang Fang. That was a lot of fun. So so I think you got more to worry about with Chinese infiltration and the payout from Chinese influence money going into politicians than you have to ever worry about whatever.
We are fully infiltrated by the Zionist ideology that's backing a country called Israel inside of every aspect of our federal government right now. So what aboutism about Afghanistan? What about China? What about Russia?
I'll do Israel for you. If you want Israel, I'll tell you Israel. I got 2 words on Israel. You ready for them? Write this down and put in your little iPad notebook. Okay, here's the answer. Israel last. Israel last.
That's
and
not
a lot of people, and a lot of people know what I mean when I say Israel last. That's a quote. That's a quote.
And let me hand it back over. Let me hand it back over to Dylan for his last thought, and then I'm going to move to some supers, and then we'll switch the topic, and I think we'll be right back where we left off.
I mean, it's interesting that like China's a threat because China is trying to purchase our politicians, which they are. They absolutely engage in that. They also try to attack like dissidents in the West and stuff, and they believe that anybody who's Chinese anywhere across the globe is still one of theirs. It's very they've got some interesting beliefs that has affected us, but Russia also does the same thing. Russia also tries to buy up politicians. Russia tries to use the Orthodox Church in the United States to set up spy centers all across the United States. Russia has attempted to not just spread, election misinformation, which is what everybody talks about because it's very partisan. They also try to spread racial animus, a lot of racial animus. During the Black Lives Matter movement, one of the main moves of the Internet Research Agency was to set a Black Lives Matter protest right up next to a Blue Lives Matter protest on Facebook. They'd make a fake Facebook account in some American small town. They'd set up one that's Blue Lives Matter. Hey, let's get all together. Let's fuck up these Black Lives Matter thugs. And then on the other side, they say, these cops are going to come kill our kids. They're come killing our people. Let's go do something. And you get these two antagonistic groups to each other, so they riot, so there's more social animus. Because if Americans are fighting each other, then they're not going to establish themselves on the global stage, which could be contrary to Russian interests. So everything you're saying about China, I at least understand it conceptually, but all of this applies to Russia. It's just Russia's aesthetically different to MAGA.
That's fair. Well, okay, let me read through some supers, and I will let you get back to it, Shaman. I'll let you go first. All right. Jazz says, I adore you already. Well, welcome to Mater Nation. Thank you, Jazz. That's very kind of you. And she went ahead and got herself a new membership too. I like you even more. We love our supporters here. Dragon Fist TV, I'm sure he's going to make his way to open panel. He's probably like screaming in the chat right now. Sends in the Big Ten, says, here to enjoy the show. Glad to see Admiral Gibbs representing up there. Yeah, they had a nice time the other night too. Army with Harmony comes up with a Big Ten, says, all wars are bankers' wars. We have not been at war since World War II. Why are recruiters allowed to lie to underdeveloped minds? Tell the truth. Your life may be spent to protect billionaires' assets. And I will say recruiters do fudge some stuff when they appeal to you with like, yeah, you're going to get Mustangs and the girls, and then you're going to travel and you're going to do this. And then you end up doing supplies in Iowa. So there can be some fudgery going on there. But
they told me I would like Fort Riley.
I'll hand it to
They told me I like Fort Riley, Kansas. I fucking hated it. It's the worst place ever. Kansas should be stripped from the United States. Anyway, I'm sorry.
They told Sarah she was going to get the girls and the Mustang, and she signed. That's amazing.
They loved me. They loved me because I was a girl. I went in to be a SEER instructor in the Air Force, and they loved me because that was a GTAP a contract, so they get extra kudos on that one. And being a female too.
They loved you.
They love me. But if anybody else had a thought to this comment, all wars are bankers' wars. I'm sure everybody has a thought to that. Dylan, did you have a thought?
I agree.
No, it isn't true. I mean, tons of people. I mean, nation states fight wars over ideology. Like Putin, people think that Putin, it's all about bankers, the reason he invaded or anybody invaded. But if you listen to Putin speak, what does he sound like? He sounds like a Redditor. He sounds like, well, Yaroslav's the wise horse took a shit in Kiev in 1902 and 902. So therefore we enjoy all of Russia and enjoys all of Ukraine. And when he talks to Tucker Carlson, it's like 2 hours of just historical drama.
Yeah, you know what?
And the reason why is because the motivations for war are more than just financial. They can be ideological. They can be strategic. You want to have access to certain ports. And so there are all sorts of reasons besides just, the bankers did it or this person did it. Also, we have been to war since World War II. We declared war in Iraq.
Fair enough. Rachel, hold on. Rachel, any thought to this comment?
Well, yeah, just obviously, as Dylan was saying, there's plenty of wars and rationale for wars that are apart from the financial motivation. Religious wars, ethnic wars, tribal wars. I mean, if you're a Marxist, everything's going to be over land and means of production. That's their ticket. So there's, I think it's too simplistic simply to go, oh, you're fighting for the billionaires or the millionaires or whoever it happens to be given the period of time in history. I think this is a removal of a regime that is antagonistic, that has been used against America. Trump's roping it, crippling it. It's not going to rise again. Those guys, the Khomeinis, the mullahs, those guys, their day is over with. And keep in mind that the Persians themselves, the Iranians, don't see themselves generally as a traditionally Islamic nation. The mosques have been burning up there. They're blowing up and burning down mosques in Iran. They're looking to shake off the shackles of that oppressive regime. So we're seeing that, there is a method to, all you Dems see is or you liberal types or your leftists, however you want to label yourselves, you see the madness, but there's a method to it. Taking out Venezuela was a master stroke, because what's happening, we're watching domino theory in reverse, working for us rather than against us. Cuba's coming into American influence like it's never been. I think they're on day 4 or something of their blackout, like they got no electricity and no power there at all. So there's a lot of stress in Cuba right now. And of course, the strong arms have been broken there.
So,
it's ripe for the pickings. It's going to be very interesting to see how America flexes in that sphere. Remember, we're looking at Monroe Doctrine. We're looking at Trump taking the hemisphere. He wants the hemisphere, and he just set up and had a meeting today with the Hemispheric Alliance. And of course, all the Kristi Noem haters out there, oh, she's all demoted. No, she's now going to be in charge of the entire South America, North America hemisphere security for Trump's administration. So wonderful stuff is happening.
Kristi Noem is a bird-legged hoe. Kristi Noem is a bird-legged hoe.
That they were playing that song everywhere in Minneapolis. But the majority of Muslims in Iran has been majority Muslim since like the 10th century.
I thought the question was,
I don't know how they're going to all of a sudden like, throw off the shackles of Islam. Like, I think this is kind of, I think this is out of touch with religious culture.
You guys are confusing. You guys are confusing Iran and Persia. They're two different subject matters. Like, you have to. I don't know how familiar you are with the Middle East. It's pretty ancient society there.
Well, the Persian people became the Iranians, right?
Iran became a country when they adapted a modernized version of an Islamic state. Yes, but they're Persians and they're
they're ethnically that's who they are, right?
Well, they're
not becoming less Muslim. There might be like the young.
Okay, well, I guess we can get into that after Muslim, we answer the question. Are all wars banker wars? You asked.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's the question.
Okay. Yeah, the answer is yes. You can just track throughout history the ways that major wars that we could call like big regional European or world wars, and we can just track how the financing moved. England was a different country before the Bank of England was created, and we see what they did after that. You can see the rise of Napoleon, how he was funded at first, and then he was opposed by the same people that gave him the money. You can follow the independent funding of the National Socialist Party, which became the Nazis.
So let's look at some of the biggest conflicts,
funding of our
been
Civil War. We
for
can
the
follow the
past
funding of
50
our everything is a banker's
all of
wars,
those.
for sure.
Wars are expensive.
Alex?
Financial institutions support them. That doesn't mean they're bankers' wars. It means bankers profit off of wars.
Alex, what do you think?
Okay, so I agree with it, because even Smedley Butler, a 2-time Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, even said war is a racket. He wrote a whole book about it. Dwight Eisenhower in the 1950s warned us about the military-industrial complex, and it's still a problem because the Pentagon has not passed one audit. They've been audited like 8 times, and they've never actually passed a successful audit. So there's a lot of missing money that's going in there, and I know people say, oh, well, it's just to protect us. Or like in the Alex Jones say, well, it's just to fund all the bankers in the military-industrial complex. I mean, I know people are going to make those arguments essentially, but the thing is that's who profits off of this. The elites are the ones that profit off this. If you think about Iraq and Afghanistan, who profited the most off this? It wasn't us. It wasn't the United States. We actually added more to our national debt. Halliburton, KBR, military contractors, they made a killing. Why? Because wars are very profitable for them. I mean, it's not even up for debate. And it's not just the bankers. It's all the elites, essentially, that are profiting off of these wars. They don't have to worry about a thing. Meanwhile, the American people, however, have to deal with the fallout. We're going to have to worry about the gas prices going up. We're going to have to worry about like everything else costing more because of the effects of the Straits of Hormuz, but I don't want to get into it much. We are going to have to worry about that. The elites don't have a thing to worry about. Elon Musk is going to be okay. We aren't. Any of us on this panel are not going to be okay, especially if it gets worse.
You fearmonger. Okay. Gibbs?
No, that's fucking dumb. It's stupid. Like Dylan's absolutely right when he says banks are gonna profit off wars. Like, listen, like I hear every day from the lefties that, oh, the Christians are evil because they fucking did the Crusades or whatever. And then I hear from the righties, oh, the Muslims are evil because they did XYZ, and then I go look at Rwanda, right? They killed the Hutsis and the Tutsis just because they didn't like the village down the road. Wars have been fought for thousands of years for whatever reason, and people are going to make money off it. And if you're not going to make money off it, you're just a dumbass because it's going to happen anyway. So, make your money. I just the idea, do banks sometimes cause wars? Sure. Are there bankers wars? Yeah. But like, no, not all the time. You know, like that's just, it's dumb. And it's like an oversimplification of things. That's my,
I like for someone to show me a way that it wasn't.
okay. When the Tutsis killed
Name a war it wasn't.
okay, the Great African War.
So there's a war in Africa that yeah. So, oh, really? So
Yeah, the biggest war since World War II. Great African War II had been over regional tensions due to fucking different ethnic groups migrating since the Rwandan genocide, and then that turned into them just killing each other, and now they're fighting over lithium.
Based off of Europeans controlling their natural resources. What are you talking about?
So when the Rwandans committed the genocide, and then their new group took over.
Wait, we were saying resource wars or banker wars now? Those are the same thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not the same thing at all.
Have you heard
Banks
of
are gonna make money off that, though.
So there's not a commodities stock market? Who is
So when the
managing that?
Tutsis
But
were
then if the
butchering the
United States
Hutus.
fights a war for uranium because we need access to uranium for weapons, is that a banker war, or is that a banker war interspliced with an American interest war? Like, wars are not just like
Dylan,
banks.
I can answer your question. The United States is controlled by the Federal Reserve, which is controlled by independent banks. So yes, it's a fucking banker's war. That's my entire
The
point.
president
What
chooses
about,
the
like, a
head of the
religious
Federal
war?
Reserve. The United
Now
States
what
controls the
happens-
Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve does not control the
Oh,
United
really?
States.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where's the
Yes.
audit? But I think how old are you, man? I think you need more like depth into the search.
What
Get
about
out
the
of your
religious
house
wars? You don't
before
think
talk
religious
like
wars
that,
happen?
okay? Get off your fucking chair before you
Get out
talk
of-
like that towards me.
Get out of my house.
All
Get
right,
out of my house.
let's
Yeah, I think you don't know what
maneuver.
you're talking about. The Federal
Let me read
Reserve
some
is
more
not-
super
It's
chats so
the
that you
Federal
all
You
can
sound
sit
like a
down,
Marxist.
settle
Everything's
down.
the capitalist.
The American-
Everything's the
Hey,
capitalist.
buddy, I got a good one. Hey, Sarah, I got a good one. The Federal Reserve is controlled by the federal government. Please have someone Google that one.
Who chooses the head of the Federal
Retarded.
Reserve? Who chooses the head?
Dude,
Who
you
appoints
just
the head
said
of
that
the
the
Federal
federal
Reserve? Answer the question.
No,
It's
don't
one question.
backtrack.
One
Don't
is one question.
No,
It's
no,
one
no.
answer.
Don't create a straw
Answer.
man. Don't create a
Answer the
straw
question.
man.
He doesn't want to
You
answer the
said
question. That's
no,
fine.
straw
You don't
man.
want to answer it.
You said that
That's
the
not a straw
United
man. It's
States
called a
government
question. Those are two
controls the
different
Federal
words,
Reserve.
actually.
All
Those are two
right, let's
different-
move
those are two
on. If
different words.
nobody's going to
Hey, over
answer
here.
it,
Two different
I'm
words.
going
I can say it's
to
slower.
take the
red? Are
lead
apples
if
red?
you need a
Are
timeout.
apples red? Thank
Maybe.
you very much.
All right. Okay. Fourth Wiseman. Thank you, gentlemen. Fourth Wiseman coming in with the Big Ten says, calling time, line up, fools. History repeats and fools never understand it. Fourth Wiseman also says, ha ha ha, Holly weird. Give it up, Alex.
That's very hurtful to Alex.
That doesn't make any sense, but okay. I mean,
I'm thinking
Hollywood.
Hollywood,
Oh,
Holly weird.
Okay, but I don't know what that's talking about, but okay. Awesome.
Fair enough. Fourth Wiseman also comes in with a Big Ten, says, yay, so lucky the military deciphered the meaning of life. Jesus Lord. And says, just another blind psyop depleting your rights. Keep lying to yourselves. It's freedom. Oops. Who's feeding legislation backdoor? Does anybody think it's a psyop?
The Iranian conflict in particular?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Everything
Anyone
is a side. Everything.
I mean, I'm sure there's some psyops going on. Like, I mean, like you think every there's a reason why the all right, listen, I'm pro Iran war, but I'll give you a psyop right fucking here as a pro guy. Do you think there's a reason why they're only showing hot Iranian women they're celebrating? They ain't showing none of the fatty Magoos. It's only the hot ones you're seeing. Clearly that's a psyop. You know, come on, guys.
All warfare is based on deception. That was from Sun Tzu and the Art of War. Like all warfare is based on, and propaganda is really amping it up because as of right now, because the only thing that I have a problem with is like, we had, moment of silence for the 6 service members that were killed, but now they're talking about it's probably more than that, but they're covering it up. I can't prove that, so I'm not saying that's what happened. But thing is, like, wars are one bit. Like during Vietnam, they actually had Vietnamese that spoke English to the other troops saying, abandon all hope, your country doesn't love you. That's all part of propaganda to get inside of people's
Hold on.
heads.
I believe that expression was me love you long time. Me
Yeah,
love
it
you
was.
long time.
Yeah.
I believe that's what they were saying.
But that's what propaganda works though. So yeah, of course there's psyops in regard, but like the question is who's pulling the most strings and who's controlling their narrative right now? That's what we need to focus on.
I could take it full circle on both what we said before about what happens if you speak out against what you're doing and then the psyop. I mean, remember Pat Tillman?
Yeah, I remember Pat Tillman. Oh yeah.
Dylan, do you remember Pat Tillman?
That name sounds
His name
so
was Tillman,
familiar.
but yeah, I know Pat Tillman.
Yeah, do you remember Pat Tillman? Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I said Tillman.
Yeah, they
I
lied
remember
about how he
telling him,
died.
Yeah, he was a football player, went to Iraq, got killed friendly fire.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's that. He was speaking out. He was a famous guy. He was posted as very noble for going in. He saw what was happening, started speaking out, and he was killed by friendly fire. And then it was also hidden for a long time too. So that's a little bit of a psyop,
what they didn't
pro
hide-
and con. No, I'm saying it's a psyop pro where they lift one guy up, and it's a con because they covered up as a.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Saab, that's more loaded a term. I think propaganda is a traditional term. Everybody understands. Saab certainly implies other elements to it. Usually some degree of obfuscation to try and hide the reality. To Alex's point, you know what? What would really be a black eye in the administration is to fake the number of deaths, try to cover it up. And then somebody comes out and goes, my uncle's dead. He's dead. He's blowing into little bits. He's all dead. And they hid it and they covered it. And everybody go, you dirty bastards. And MAGA would be the first in line going, you dirty bastards. It would cost votes. That would be devastating. So
Not the new MAGA.
Play it
The
out.
new MAGA, as long as
straight. Play it real, be transparent. The way is transparency, and this administration is incredibly transparent. I just love
really
it
think
so
that?
dearly.
You really think that?
Let me move on. Let me move on. I'm glad that everybody finally found their disagreement points, because at the very beginning, everybody was like on the same page. And then as we started to sift it out, I see the disagreements coming in. James, a member for 15 months, is like Gordon Gekko taught in Wall Street. It's all about the bucks, kid. The rest is conversation. Fourth Wiseman says, profits, ha, ha, ha. Make sure you drink hard from the straw before gravity pulls the liquid back.
You got a big dono here, Sarah.
No, that's still a 10. James Farley says, play the horse. Mind you, no, it's still 10. It's based on the color. It's just a different country coming in. James Farley, remind me at Gauntlet and I will give you the horse, but we're not going to do it during the panel. And don't make me give you guys the horse though, if you can't get along. And Tom Carpenter actually sent in 100 on the Cash App for me to read the cheap super chat. And he says, just wanted to get the word out. Soft White Underbelly is releasing one Epstein victim interview per week starting today. That's per week. That's interesting. I want to know how many he's got. First one is a good eye opener. Ooh, I might actually go watch that tonight. Thank you, Tom. And thank you for the big hundo on Cash App. So please feel free. Actually, no, I'm telling you, throw tomatoes in the chat right now. Tom deserves to put the red on the screen, even though we can't because it's not on the super chat. Frosty sends in the Big Ten, says the bankers did nothing. The elites were cut off from the very money they own because the security takeover. The think tanks will make you think the doomsday apocalypse peeps on your side. Anybody have a thought to add in on that?
I was just going to say that.
That's funny.
By the way, the psyop, the psyop is kind of obvious, isn't it? Like there's a religious component to this between the prophetic, Christian and Jewish Zionism stuff and Iran and all that stuff. If we pretend for a second there's not a religious component to this, I mean, that's pretty wild.
Hold on. You just said, like earlier, right, that all the wars are bankers' wars, right? Then you're saying there's a religious aspect to this. So do religious wars happen? Like, do people kill each other over religion?
Both happen, yes, and both can be. Hold on. So they're mutually exclusive. The one can't be a religious.
No, they're not mutually exclusive. I'm just asking: are there wars where people just kill each other over religion, and the banks have nothing to do with it? Like,
sure.
How does that happen?
Sure.
Okay. Well, then, yeah. Okay. Not all wars are banker wars. All right. I just wanted to clarify that. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also,
go ahead.
Hold on. Hold on. Let him enjoy that for a second. He thinks he did something.
Okay.
I did do something.
Give him a moment.
I'm proving myself right that there's.
Okay.
So is the point about
more than one kind
bankers'
of war.
wars that bankers profit off of all wars, therefore making them all bankers' wars despite the actual reasons that they were started? Because if that's the point, then not really a deep point.
Well, I guess the bigger question would be, does it matter if it's all bankers' wars, if it's oil, if it's conflict, if it's ideology? Does it really matter why we're starting it? And if so, why is it important?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're starting it because we were attacked, like, for example, on Pearl Harbor, then while there could be financial motivations for those who are going to benefit from the massive production and companies, like if you were working in certain type of sheet metal production, you're about to make bangers money in the United States during a war effort. But there was other reasons why the United States engaged in that war as well. When I think about calling them all bankers' war, it's not to say that people don't profiteer off wars. War profiteers has existed since man has sold sharpened rock to other man to beat him over the head, right? That's always existed.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's kind of reductive.
Hold on. Go ahead,
I think the two of you are like co-creating a straw man and then fucking celebrating. Like, when we say when I'm referring to a banker's war, I'm not talking about profiting off of fucking war. I'm talking about the multinational banking institutions that really kicked off in the 1500s, that were really established on an international basis in the 1700s, and warfare since then. That's what I'm talking about maybe a little more depth. So I guess I need to actually, like Sarah said, turn a little more of a teaching situation here. I'm not talking about, oh, someone killed someone for gold, thus that was a banker's war because then he cashed it in somewhere. Obviously, wars happen for all sorts of reasons. But if you look at Afghanistan, you say, okay, what was the reason of Vietnam? Well, it was a conspiracy to talk about heroin and drugs. But now we realize when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan,
Vietnam was about heroin and drugs?
Okay.
You just said Vietnam was about heroin and drugs.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, not at all.
It had nothing to do with Vietnam. Vietnam had nothing to do with heroin or drugs.
Would anyone else like to say?
Would domino theory. I was raised by a Vietnam. I know a little bit why we went to war about Vietnam.
Would anyone like to say it had nothing? No, it had nothing to. I didn't say only. It
had nothing to do with heroin.
Really, it had nothing to do with drugs, right?
What did the Vietnam War and heroin have to do with each other?
Have you heard of the opium wars? That had nothing to do with drugs either.
No, it's called the opium wars. Of course, it had to do with drugs. It has fucking opium in it. The
But
Vietnam War had to do with communism.
Occurred.
Yeah, they were named.
Mom just turned you
They were named the opium wars 100 years after those fucking wars, buddy.
Yeah, but they had to do with the supply of opium to the country. Vietnam had to do with the supply of heroin to the United States.
Did the wars in Afghanistan have anything to do with opium?
Yes. You said Vietnam.
So why did? I know. It's a separate question. I'm not trying to catch you. I'm asking. Did Afghanistan war have something to do with opium?
A little bit.
Correct. Some significant because
a little bit.
No, I don't think it's ironic. Okay, not only, of course, but I don't think it's ironic that when we have a war in 2001 that goes 20 years, during that 20-year cycle, we have an opioid crisis, right? So that's not the only reason, obviously, but that's a significant point for us as American citizens. Simultaneously, the Soviet Union invaded a country called Afghanistan, the same one, who had 99% of all opium exports at the time. And guess how the Soviet Union fell? At the time of the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, they had the largest general population of heroin addicts in the world as well. So that's the same country with the same major output of drugs and two different major superpowers and an effect on the citizens. And so to think that the Vietnam thing had only to do with communism is like saying our problem with the Soviet Union is only communism.
I didn't say only. I just don't think it had significantly to do with it.
Oh, okay, we're both on the same page. We're not saying only, we're saying significancies, right? We're not saying
well, I think it's minimal. I think
facts.
Minimal impact. I think that that when it came to opium, the main concern from American leadership had to do with the fact that opium was funding the opposition, was funding those who were fighting American troops. And we tried a lot of failed efforts to crack down upon it, including paying people to burn their own crops, which meant they just grew more crop, burnt it, and then did it again.
But we've all seen pictures of them. So, I mean, look, in 2001, when the Taliban was running Afghanistan, they reduced their global, drug exports to like less than 10%. And by 2004, it was at 96%, right? And so the only thing that happened during that is that the United States and 60 countries, kind of invaded Afghanistan. So you can just look at the numbers, like it's kind of, and by the way, and when we're talking about that, like when you compare $8 trillion to maybe, 100 billion, yeah, okay, that's not that much comparatively. But if you were a group in charge of that, that's, you add up all these little key components and then you understand the psyop.
Yeah, the destabilization of Afghanistan led to massive increases in drug production as many people fled to that industry to make up the profits now that the country was partially smashed to bits and it was somewhat chaotic.
No, it's the opposite. It actually, us going in there increased it from 8% to over 96%.
You didn't listen to
That's
what I
I'm
said.
trying.
That's what he just
All
said.
right,
maybe I
Rachel's
misunderstood.
last thought, and then I'm going to move on to the back to the super.
I just want to let the panel know and the audience that I identify as a Christian person too, evangelical by the label, if you want to put a label on it. And so within that context, I don't think there's any eschatological edge on Iran and America's involvement at this time. I don't see that connection there for you. And we're certainly not going to manifest it. Jesus says, no man knows the day or the hour when I return. Because the question is asked in Matthew, I think it's 24, what is the end of the world? Well, tell us, when is the end of the world and the sign of your coming? Rumors of wars, rumors of wars, and earthquakes in diverse places. But the thing is that you can't manufacture this stuff. It's God's the master, God's the planner, not us. All you do is obey and obey God, right? Love the Lord thy God with all heart, mind, soul, and strength. And secondly, love your neighbor as yourself. And that's why I love you, specifically your bearded friend next door to me.
If you're an evangelical, then if you're an evangelical Christian, right? Then which Bible do you read?
King James primarily, but I'm not dogmatic on it. I'm not dogmatic about it. So New Revised Version is fine. NRSV, different versions out there is fine. But I like the King James Bible. Okay. It's pithy and it's easy to memorize.
Well, we have a lot of evangelical Christians in the United States. 56 million of them classify themselves as Zionist Christians. And in order for them to actually fulfill the second coming of Jesus Christ, whether they depict him as the Messiah or the Son of God or whatever aspect of it, they believe and subscribe to the Jewish perspectives of their fulfillments to come true. So that it is therefore religious.
You can't strong arm that into place, though. That you can't just go, let's set the stage, let's get the temple sacrifices going, so that Antichrist can show up, the abomination of desolation will show up in the most holy of holies.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And then that the 52 weeks.
I agree. That's not how it's supposed to work. But guess what? That's what they're doing. And Thursday we'll have a nice little debate on that. That's why it's satanic.
Fair enough. Hold. Let's hold that thought. Rachel, you should probably join the open panel Thursday night because he is going to be making all these claims Thursday.
Garton, I love him, but he's wacky.
And comes in with a big 10, says Dave started the Iranian conflict. Dragon Fist comes in with a big 5, says the videos of Iranians cheering in the streets is propaganda. If the same thing happened here, people would be cheering in the streets, showcasing it is propaganda. Gibbs, did you have a thought to that?
Yeah, I said this earlier, it was kind of a joke, but it's not. And this is why I was like, there's a reason why we're seeing the TikToks and the hot Iranian chicks, right? You're not going to see fucking the heifers do it. Same thing here. I mentioned the same fucking thing earlier with there are definitely groups of people here that want to follow the American empire. Would there be people celebrating the streets? Well, I'll tell you what we talk about sci-fi a bit. I'm reading this good book. It's written from a historian's perspective in the Star Wars universe called Reign of the Empire. The guy's actually a historian, I think at Princeton or something. I could be wrong, but he's one of the major college historians to do. And so he's applying real world to Star Wars. And one of the things they mentioned is if you remember at the end of Return of the Jedi, the special editions from whenever he came out on the VHS, he added these scenes where they're celebrating all these planets. And he's like, well, all these people celebrated, but they actually, course on if didn't get liberated, right? Same thing here in real world. There would be people that absolutely would celebrate if, the American government got fucking taken out in Washington. And our enemies would show that and film it and say, look, they're celebrating everywhere. But I'm always hesitant when it's something like that, because it probably is a small portion that's doing this, especially if the Iranian regime is as brutal as they say they are. I don't want to think I don't want to go out and get shot just for celebrating.
Fair enough. Frosty comes in with a big, I think it should be a 50. Says, here's $10. Don't make me look bad, Gibbs. Yeah, Gibbs, you look great, though. I love the suit. You always dress up so nice. Texas Bullymon in with the big 10 says, I'm here in and out, but I'm loving this panel and gonna get real fun. Yes. Feel like Gauntlet's going to get in a psycho tonight. Frosty coming in again with another 10 says, please use historical context. Post-colonial takeover involved a lot of foreign aid and especially American aid. What ruined it? The actual globalist establishment. Anyone want to take a quick hit at this and then we'll move on to the next topic?
Trump destroyed globalism. Big fan.
Yeah. Dylan?
I'm a globalist. Globalism doesn't die; it just recedes and comes back.
Fair enough.
That's-
Rachel? Or Alex?
I'm pro-Trump. Nation states. This is where you don't have Brussels dictating to us, the World Economic Forum. You don't have the United Nations. You don't have UNDRIP, where Vancouver now apparently owns, and I'm quarter a Native American. Now my cousins apparently own Vancouver. Somebody forgot to tell the white folks living there that they no longer own the property. Begging the question, who the hell are they going to pay their taxes to? The Indians who have title deed, or to the Canadian government that just seems to be sitting on top of the thing? So lots of issues there. I like the nation state, and I love old stock Canadians and old stock Americans. And if you don't know what that is, there's a couple of books out there that you kids can read.
Fair enough. Omar, any thought to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously there's an old world, new world order that they refer to, hegemony, and then there's a new version of that, and there is a battle between the old version and the new version. You could say like the U.S. dollar versus like the Bitcoin as like symbolism of that, and I think that it's just a classic alternative choice, which like death by fire or death by fire. This fire is blue, but red's better, but blue fire is better because you'll die faster. This is kind of what we're looking at here. And Canada is controlled by the Queen of England, so it has never been a sovereign country. So
we got a new monarch now. We got a king now.
Well, the king, by the way, yeah, two last
points. Finish your thought, Omar, so we can move on.
All you have to do is look up the current king of England, and his ancestry and celebration of his ancestry to Vlad the Impaler, who we call Dracula. And last point about that is the Jedis we refer to are actually from the Jedi, which were Egyptian priests, shaman, warriors in Al-Kemet, ancient Egypt. Go ahead.
All right, Alex, any thought on the super far movement?
Anybody that says like, oh, U.S. foreign aid is such a terrible thing has no idea how foreign aid actually works. Think of foreign aid as an insurance policy. Like, for example, if I donate, this amount of money to this country, it's for underwater basket weaving, right? Why is that so important? Because if you donate that kind of money, you're buying influence. It's sort of like, for example, if we need to get influence in that country, especially if there's strategic value towards it, if we donate foreign aid towards that, it actually helps us out in the long run, because that way, then we have to worry about who taking part in it. Let's say, for example, if Malaysia, right? If we were to cut ties with Malaysia, right? And they says, nope, you guys don't get any more foreign aid. Guess who's ready to take over that foreign aid? China. Guess what China's going to offer? Hey, listen, we'll protect you with our Navy. We'll protect you with everything. But this is what you got to do for us. You got to give us this global standing position on one of your islands that we can actually occupy an airstrip here. And Malaysia's like, yeah, go right ahead. Come on in, fam. That's exactly how foreign aid basically works. And everybody's like, oh my God, we shouldn't be spending so much money on other countries. First off, foreign aid comes from a completely different policy. That's part of your, not national, but it's part of your global, your foreign aid. That's where the funding basically comes from. And it's something that still has to be agreed upon with Congress. Congress has to approve on it. So everybody that's complaining about this foreign aid, it's stuff that has to be approved of by our Congress. So it's not that big of a deal. It makes up a minuscule amount of how much we actually spend on our national defense. Let alone the fact, if you're going to be so upset about us giving foreign aid to other countries, let's start with cutting aid to Israel. Let's just do that. But we're not going to do that because we need the influence from Israel. AIPAC has pretty much got us by the balls, because they have such big influence, and you know how I feel about that. So anyway,
yeah, it's carrots and sticks. It's carrots and sticks. And if you say, hey, we have the big stick, would you like to taste the carrot? Right. So it's like you have to give them a little something. Otherwise, they're going to go to someone else.
My brain went so many different ways. All right, let's move on. Shout out to Asperon.
Okay.
No, you don't want to know what just went through my head.
Carrots and sticks, either way, you're getting fucked. That's what's the policy.
Shout out to Azron with a big 5. Thank you so kindly. And I'm going to move on. The next question is the U.S. military being spread too thin amid domestic deployments and global commitments? So we are seeing a lot of different things going on. We've got our ICE agents doing their stuff. We've got stuff at the border. We've got Cuba. We've got Iran. We're like going in all sorts of different directions. Even Taiwan is kind of on the list of things happening in the world right now. So are we making ourselves vulnerable by doing all of this stuff at once? And I will hand it over to Dylan. Dylan, why don't you kick us off with the first thought on it?
Well, Trump just said that he is thinking about a $1.5 trillion military budget in order to get us to the 5% NATO spending target that he put out. I've been a big advocate for a while that we don't need to spend more. We need to spend more effectively. We need to spend more on cheaper and smaller. For example, when it comes to Taiwan, there's a lot of talk of buying really like high expensive missile systems in the $1 million in order to like hit Chinese ships. When there could be a question about buying $30,000 to $40,000 drone swarms of each individual model, which would be a lot cheaper. The United States government is currently engaged in talks with the Ukrainian government for trying to buy their drone interceptors, which are going to cost tremendously less than any PAC-3 interceptor, which is in the millions of dollars, when a Stinger interceptor is going to be like $7,000. I mean, it's not, it's to compare these two things, it's a completely different area. And the Gulf states are currently running out of PAC-3 interceptors. So the timeline on trying to get a deal on something like this, I think, is probably kind of tight. So I think
oh, sorry, go ahead.
So what I would like to do is see maybe not more military spending to the tune of 1.5 trillion, and the same goes for Europe, but more effective military spending. That means building factories where they might not be politically most useful, but where cheaper, you're going to get the cheapest labor, you're going to get the least regulations, and you're going to be able to produce the most product so you get the most bang for your buck. This is the type of realistic conversations Europe needs to have, so we can actually reel in some of our military spending to spend some of that at home, which is necessary for us to keep any of our global footprint. Because if we lose domestic support for America's position or presence on the world stage, then you're not going to be able to support that. So I still believe in missions in Europe. I still believe in certain missions in Asia. I still believe, of course, all of the Americas is, of course, a concern to the United States. I don't think that we should be the only one doing this. Part of the reason why I believe we should be partnered with countries like Ukraine, the Europeans, and others. And I also think that ultimately, even if we were to completely try to abandon all of that morally, strategically, we've seen with a very short week-long war how oil can go near $100 a barrel just from a quick volley of missiles towards the strait. You can be a tiny, rinky-dick, like rock-throwing rebel group, and if you throw those rocks in the direction of an important waterway, you can increase insurance prices for everyone. And so that, of course, means that we are such a globalized world that some of our presence is going to be necessary, especially near those waterways. But I'm generally of the position of we need to reel in and be more effective about our spending.
All right. Fair. Rachel, to you.
Yeah, so something Dylan knows a lot about because he's there is the use of drone warfare. So America has taken drones that the Iranians were in the forefront of developing, taking them, capturing them, reverse engineering them, and then mass producing them, and are now using them in Iran against the Iranians for $10,000 a pop, as opposed to whatever, $50,000 a warhead or more. So 10,000 was the figure I heard per these drones. So that's a lot less expensive. Also, to point to Congress, you effers in Congress. What was the vote? 346 congresspeople said we don't want any of our dirty laundry being given to the peasantry, that they can find out what we've been doing, paying off this person, that person for our little misdemeanors sexually with people of whatever age group and whatever species you may be involved with. I wouldn't put certain lifestyle options off the table for these people. So a lot of corruption there. And then the military industrial complex, you're absolutely right. It's absolutely an abomination that we have the Pentagon with trillions of dollars. They go, oh, suddenly it's just gone missing. We don't have it on the books. It's just gone. Well, we've got to find out where all that went too. That's cleaning up the swamp. And whether Trump does it or whatever, we can get away from that kind of partisanship or that ringer in the word of Trump. But that should be a bipartisan issue. Everybody should be interested in knowing where your tax dollars are going. If they're just, money is just disappearing left, right, and center. And your friend Zelensky has got a lot of answering to do in terms of the money. Canada, we've sent him, I don't know how many billions of dollars we're giving that guy, but we're sending him a lot more money than the First Nations people are getting here. Fortunately, in our infinite wisdom, we are now giving the whole country to the Indians, perhaps to make up the shortfall.
Fair enough. Omar, to you, please.
Zelensky is a puppet. Canada is controlled by the Queen of England with, I think, 62 other countries. What else we got here? The Admiral.
The question is, are we being spread too thin amid domestic deployments and global commitments? So maybe that'll ring it back in.
In one way, yes, and in one way, no. It's just, it all goes back to, I think that if you watch the young people, I have children that range from 1 year old to 19 years old, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you watch like the age range of like their friends and like the collective, like who's buying what and when, I think that they're seeing through the bullshit at a much faster rate because, at our age, like you can believe like at one point you're like, oh, Clinton's good or Clinton bad. And then the next one's like, okay, we got a Bush. And then at that point, you're kind of like picking sides. But once you see like, at least let me just share from my perspective, when you see war on terror and you see, Abu Ghraib and all these like crazy things that we're doing at the beginning of the 8 years of the George Bush, and then Obama comes in, is like change, and he's like, I taught constitutional law at Chicago, University of Chicago. I'm bringing back habeas corpus. I'm shutting down Guantanamo Bay. But if you were to take the 8 years of Bush and the 8 years of Obama and take the lines away, you would never be able to pick where the change happened and the party changed. And that was the moment I realized that the argument of left and right on anything is somewhat interesting, because it's like literally throwing a piece of meat into the middle and then having two dogs chained, but no one can actually ever get the meat. And if one broke free, the meat was poisoned anyway, right? So it's just fucking retarded. It's just a silly thing to think like Trump's not in control by handlers or this isn't handlers. And Rachel's thinking like, this guy doesn't make any sense. Okay, well, Trump is not acting independently because he was talking major shit about the global banking system and about the Federal Reserve. He hasn't said nothing about it since.
He just said we just appointed the heir apparent
to finish his
name is running the Fed right now. Trump wants him out of there because
have we ever audited the Fed?
Hold on. Finish your thought because we still have Alex and
that's fine. I'll move forward. We've never audited the Fed ever once, and we never will. I just like the Epstein list will never fully come out because it implicates the same handlers of which Alex was pointing at earlier. That's it.
Fair enough. Alex, are we being spread too thin? Your thoughts?
Absolutely we are. I mean, people were complaining about the forever wars we're involved with Iraq and Afghanistan. People are saying we're spread out too far. We've got hundreds of military bases all across the world. And, there's a reason for that. But the thing is that like now we're being involved in another war, and Israel is now talking about like eyeing Turkey now as a potential adversary. But that's one of our allies right there. So that's kind of a bit of a conundrum for us because Trump loves himself some Erdogan, but he also loves, Benjamin Netanyahu. But we've also got operations going on down in Ecuador right now. We're possibly talking about sending actions into Cuba. I don't know how true that is, but that's just going down the rumor mill. But we need to think about something. It's all about historical context. Think about every single empire that spread its resources far and wide. What happens when you actually have control of certain regions, or if you have certain influence in those areas? It becomes really expensive because you got to maintain your quarters, your garrisons, the bases that you have all across the countries. That requires a lot of funding. It requires a lot of resources, a lot of infrastructure behind it. I mean, think about the reasons why the Roman Empire fell. I have these all written down. Is because of barbarian invasions, military decay, economic collapse, which right now they're predicting that the economy is going to take a nosedive here. They're talking about political instability. Our country has never been so divided, and that's where the split empires come into play too. Our country has never been so divided right now. It's left versus right, MAGA versus the progressives, MAGA versus rhinos. It's fracturing all across the country where everybody's pointing fingers. And yes, I'm guilty of this too, but that's just the way things are. But because there's such a huge divide right now that I'm willing to bet that there are some people that are willing to see the other side fail so the country can collapse. Like under Biden, when they were there was people on the right that were begging the country to be shut down just to spite the Democrats, which I was like, no, that's not how it should be done. But guess what? There's people say, well, what about the Democrats? Of course you're gonna what about is, but the final thing that's really big about it is because there's a lot of social and religious changes too, because there's people that are actually trying to spread their influence, because you've actually even got military commanders that are saying what's happening in Iran is biblical, which is dangerous. You can't use that kind of rhetoric. It's going to alienate everybody who was like, wait a second, is this a holy war? Are we now going to use religion as a means for us to go to war with Iran when it has absolutely nothing to do with it? This is not a war about religious ideology. It's not about liberating the people. Even Trump said to Dana Bash on CNN, we're not going there to liberate the people. So it's never been about that. It's clearly about resources and working for Netanyahu, because Benjamin Netanyahu has had his eye on Iran for decades. He has said Iran is 2 weeks away from nuclear warhead. We've been hearing that since the 90s. Since 2003, he's been saying these things. So he's obviously full of shit, because I thought we destroyed all the nuclear capabilities in Iran. I guess that wasn't the case, because he says, they're so close to building nuke. Anyway, I could talk forever about this, but yes, we are stretched entirely far too thin.
So
Fair enough. Hold up. It's Gibbs' turn for his thoughts, and then you guys can go at each other all night.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Gibbs. Here we go.
You're muted, Gibbs.
Yeah, so I was having some tech issues. Of course, it happened right as it's my turn. That's how it always is.
That's how I planned it. I planned it exactly that way.
I knew it. I just, okay, spread too thin. No, we're the goddamn U.S. military. We like America. We got 11 super carriers. You know how many people have one? No, nobody's got one. We can do what we want, where we want to. We running out of missiles. We might be running out of certain kinds of missiles, but hey, Rachel's Ghost brought this up. We're already reproducing the Shahid drones or Shahad drones or whatever the fuck called it. Now it's American Eagles. Now I'm going to call it that. We're making the drones we have now, and they're getting their ass whipped. We can do everything they can do, but better. We just need to start manufacturing here. Yeah, I hope we whoop Cuba's ass. They should be the next state. That'd be great. I love cigars and I love Cuban women, big fan. So I think we should take them over. And then that'll decrease our problems overall. Like we just talked about, y'all talked about how oil prices have gone way up because of Strait of Hormuz, because someone launches some drones or something that way. Absolutely correct. You know how you solve that problem in the long term? You blow up the drone launchers. And guess what? We just took out the drone makers and the drone launchers. So I would think that, after it stabilizes some, then we'll be able to do it. And then Rachel's just brought up the Leeds thing earlier. This is actually a very big thing. We've broken the back of the British Empire now, which they were already kind of falling out with us. We are now ensuring the ships that go through and backing it with U.S. destroyers. So as before, we were guaranteeing freedom of shipping, but we weren't really getting benefits. Now, we're going to be guaranteed shipping in one of the most used areas in the world for oil, and we're going to be insuring it. So we're going to be getting paid for what we're doing over there. Yeah, so I guess maybe this one is a banker's war. I don't know. But on top of that, he's isolated China and Russia's energy departments. Russia might, in short-term, benefit from oil price increase, but China is going to get fucked by this, hardcore. Venezuela's being gone, that weakens them as well. That hurts them in this sphere. Cuba, if they go after Cuba next, that weakens them and basically kicks their influence completely out of the Western Hemisphere, right? And these are all good things if you actually believe that Russia and China and North Korea are the evil empire, right? You isolate, you never go after the final boss first. You take out their minions right now. So right now we're taking out the minions, we're taking out Iran. As for the religious aspect, let's crusade again, I guess. I don't fucking know. I'm ready to fucking see some crusades. I don't want to go into the religious aspect. I got two doctors that shit. That shit's boring. So I as much as people want to be like, oh, the Zionists, oh, this, we have to be somebody's friends in the region. And the idea that Saudi Arabia and Israel could be buddies and be on the same side in the war against somebody that's claiming this is a final war, or an apocalyptic war, is crazy. If you told me 10 years ago that Saudi Arabia and Israel would be teaming up, I would have fucking laughed in your face. And that looks like a real possibility now. So, woo!
All right. Well, we can now. You can go. I think, Rachel, you were chiming in on something. I'll let you kick it from there.
Yeah, so I want to take on the question if we spread ourselves too thin. And so as Admiral Gibbs so eloquently stated, of course not. With 11 carriers, absolutely amazing. You got to ask yourself, who's the threat? So if we're spread too thin, oh my God, look out, the Mexicans are going to invade. Well, we already had that. And now we got control of the border again. So that's all, that little pickle's all solved. And so it's easy to go, oh, the threat and America, how are we going to afford to control this space? And we're going to have all this property over there. That's not the blueprint here. That's not the structure that's going to be put in place. It's not colonialism that's going to be established. That's the problem with these other empires that you're talking about. Roman garrisons all over Great Britain with Caesar's arrival in 55 BC.
That's exactly what we're doing. What are you talking about? It's like literally what we do.
So yeah, but except it's not in that format. It's not a one-to-one correlation. It's not establishing the government over there. The people have it. And I would argue
That's
further
not true.
to that.
That's definitely
that
no. I'm
with
sorry.
The Monroe
that's not
Doctrine
true,
being
though. That's a
put
lie.
in place, that it's pretty easy to see what Trump's doing. He's handicapping the power centers that worked against the United States, crippling them, removing them, and then building a fortress North America. And beyond North America to include South America as well. But this whole region is going to be under American control. It's obvious he's telegraphing it. And to answering the question, spreading yourself too thin, who's going to stop him? China,
Rachel,
Russia,
real quick question. Rachel, who is the enemy? Who is the enemy?
I got to jump in because I'm about to lose my mind though. Because here's the thing.
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so
Alex.
the Gerald R. Ford actually had to go to dock because they were on a deployment for 6 months. It's month 8. They're only supposed to be gone for 6 months. Their sewage system was overflowing because of how bad it was.
You could see it from satellites. You could see the trail of shit literally from satellites.
It's really bad. The thing is, that's one aircraft carrier that you talk about. We've only got 2 other ones in the region right now. But the thing is, they just took out the port Iran just took out the port in Bahrain, which means now we have to go to India, which is much farther than you can actually go to regroup and to actually refit. They've hit 3 of our THAAD missile systems. Now, if people don't know what the THAAD missile system is, it's supposed to take out all incoming missiles. Iran's taken out 3 of them, basically. They've taken out radar systems. So basically, our first response is pretty much going away right now. And in fact, who are you going to go to? And they say, well, who's going to stop us? Well, here's the thing. We're thinking about all the orders we've given Ukraine, all the orders we've given Israel in order with their genocide of Gaza. We've given a lot of military ordnance to them. But guess what? Iran has all this ordnance they have never used sitting in stockpiles right now that's in underground bunkers right now. Listen, I am not degrading our capabilities. I'm simply saying, like, it's our resolve because we've got a lot of allies that says, listen, you guys are on your own right now. They're not going to come and help us because hold on a second. Let me finish. I'll land my plane soon. But like Saudi Arabia Qatar, Iraq, all the other countries that basically say that got hit by Iran says, hey, we're not going to hit you guys as long as you don't attack us. If you attack us, it's fair game from there. Which Trump, they said, oh, they surrendered. They didn't surrender anything, honestly. We are not thinking, like we're thinking, oh, here comes America. We're going to kick everybody's ass. Based on what? Well, how exactly think, like, if a ground invasion happens, it's going to be even worse than Afghanistan because it's much larger. The terrain is horrendously bad. You can't get a whole lot of armor up down that way. Like, what exactly? How do you think we're going to win this war with just like gusto and saying American freedom?
We're going to do it
real quick.
Go ahead, Omar. Go ahead,
No, I
Omar.
just wanted to. Alex, I completely agree with you. I think on everything you just said, and this is the most pro-American points we can be talking about because we don't want to fucking lose. You know what I mean? But Rachel, I have a question. You made a really good point. You were talking. You said based off of our enemies, and so I have a question for you. Who is our enemy? Iran is our enemy?
China's the enemy. The Iranian government is certainly under the mullahs.
Why?
That's our enemy.
So why is China our enemy? Because probably mutual.
China's because of Chinese expansionism, and they want to break America, and they want to become the world's currency through BRICS. So they're going to break the petrodollar, and America is going to be busted. So
I agree. Okay, but then why is Iran our enemy?
Iran's our enemy because they're the number one, as our idiots in Congress did something right, condemning them as the number one state sponsor of terrorism. So they are the weapon that China will use and wield against America. You always use a proxy if you can use it.
I agree with what you're saying to an extent. Here's the thing. Iran is not an enemy of America. Iran is an enemy of Israel. And the terrorism you're talking about is them funding people who are fighting Israel for whatever reasons. It's Israel's problem, not our problem.
Don't they chant death to America?
The last time Iran invaded a country was 300 years ago. Before that was Cyrus the Great. Okay, so they have not invaded shit in 2,000 years. But at the same time, they were an empire for a very long time. Got it. I know the entire. But my point is that I feel as an American, and listen, by the way, this is going to sound on some level of this. When they said the North American Union and they were talking about the Amero, I don't know if you all remember that. I was kind of like, well, you know, like Canada becomes a vassal state of our resources. On the South is our, you know, making products for us. And in the middle, we kind of just enjoy shit. I'm not against that. And I'm also not against us controlling the entire fucking hemisphere of the Americas. But the idea that Iran is an enemy of America because of Israel said so is bullshit.
I don't think that's the word on the street. I don't think that's what's going on at all. I think you're mischaracterizing it.
Hold on, let me just jump in here. I want to go to what Alex just said first. I'm going to read some numbers to you, and I'll let y'all tell me what y'all think of this, because Alex said they got all these munitions being held. So we're going to just go through some data. So day one, we're going to go through drones and missiles first. Day one, these are the numbers launched by Iran. 350. Day two, this is missiles first. 350. Day two is 175. Day three is 120. Day four is 50. Day five is 40. Day six, 32. Day seven, 28. Day eight, 15. They predicted tomorrow is only going to be assaulting Israel. This is a Middle East watch, okay? This is drones. Day one, 294. Day two, 541. Okay, wow. Day three, 200. Day four, 85. Day five, 45. Day six, 38. Day seven, 30. Day eight, 12. Now, I want to add in addition to this is without us having guaranteed secure of their airspace yet. We are just now implementing the strategy where we're taking out a lot of their air defenses, which were already not that substantial in the first place, based on the reports I've seen. So it's only going to get worse for them. We're taking out their launchers. They can have all the munitions in the world they want. But if you can't fucking go outside and shoot them, it don't fucking matter, because we whooped that ass. We whooped that ass real good.
Why are you celebrating the war in Iran? What is good about this?
A lot of it. Well, one, my stocks are going way up. Maybe you should fucking admit. Yeah, so two, capitalist bad, well, good, I'm the bad guy then. Two, I guess like when I'm sitting here looking at this shit, I'm going, okay, these people have been chanting death to America for a while. Fuck them. It's like, well, what's his name? Senator Kennedy said, he's like, I'm tired of giving money to all these people that hate us. They can hate us for free. Well, these guys have hated us, and now they can get the ass whipping they deserve, right? And so I'm sorry, these guys are our enemy. Iran is our enemy. They teamed up with China, North Korea, Cuba, and Venezuela. They teamed up. This is the evil empire. You can sit here and say we want to like bend over and spread our cheeks for them, but Trump is isolating them, taking them out, right? And so when I was saying, they're going to do all this retaliatory things, well, we've already taken out most of the shit. The damage they've done to the ports is easily repairable. We'll probably have it repaired within the week or two. And so I'm not worried about this, like at all. And now that we've eliminated this person, y'all talking about oil prices going up for the drones. Well, how much more secure will the Strait of Hormuz be whenever we've already taken out all 11 of their ships, but they can't go out there and lay no more mines. They can't close it down. Now we have security going through with the ships that we are insuring. So now we have a vested economic interest. And if you know anything about America, you'll just claim there's a banker's war. If we have an economic interest there, you're damn sure we're going to fucking build bases around and protect that shit. And that's going to lower oil prices for Americans overall while fucking Russia and China.
Well, you sound like you just had that. You should clip that as your audition tape to Fox News.
I mean,
the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Actually, I don't know what he's talking. I don't know what he's talking.
Hey, if your stock's doing so well, you should now make those suits out of silk instead of polyester from Amazon.
It is. I mentioned that earlier. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. Good.
But the issue is, though,
that's not silk. That's not silk. That's not silk. That's polyester. No, it's not. Show us. Show us the tag.
Anyway, I honestly, I don't.
All right. Alex, go ahead.
But here's the thing, like,
go ahead, Alex. I know you want to chime in.
Gibby, I'm so glad that I'm so glad your stocks are going up, even though like soldiers are going to be fucking dying from this. I'm so glad your stocks are going up. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about all the Gold Star families. People are about to get the worst notification of their lives based upon what? There's no purpose for us to go into Iran. What? They say death to America? Are we going to start bombing everybody and attacking every nation because they say death to America or some shit like that? I mean, dude, if we say, oh, well, death to like this, a bumfuck Egypt, does that mean if Egypt attacks us, that means they're totally justified based upon your logic?
Like,
No,
Trump-
they can. Well, they can, though. Look what happened after 9/11. It shut the country down. Everybody panics in this country every time something bad happens. I mean, dude, we talked about, like, with C-19, people were buying toilet paper by the truckload because they were so scared. It's because we are not well informed in this country. That's the problem. But, like, oh, yeah, stocks are going great. Hey, the Dow's at 50,000. But, hey, 6 service members just came back, dude. I mean, that, like, I don't care. I don't care about, like, your stocks. I don't care. Yeah. Well, dude,
like 1,500. Like, I mean, pretty
so
good
their
ratio.
lives don't matter. You told me their lives don't matter.
No, it matters. They over there
No,
providing
it
for the
doesn't
American
matter
empire.
because your stocks are doing great, though.
Yeah, I know.
Well, your stocks are great, though.
They caused that. The huge fan.
Who caused that? The troops caused that? Who caused
The
it?
troops caused that. Yeah,
Yeah, the troops caused it. Okay, yeah, sure, the troops. They were just in Kuwait right now just doing their job, but then they just died. You know, that's cool, right?
They did.
Do you see that?
Okay, what do you got? What do you got going here? What are we looking at?
Significantly higher stock price increases than this fucking guy. So shut up about stocks.
Okay, he's doing good on the market.
Dylan, you're looking like you might
The
have
Iranian
something.
stock market, baby. Just joking.
I mean,
Hey, I'm glad you're doing well. Whatever works for you,
I'm
Buffalo.
joking, bro. I'm joking. Come on.
Go ahead,
You don't have to
Dylan.
have a-
we've gone
Go
through
ahead,
so
Dylan.
much, so I don't want to like rephrase and go back, but something that was interesting to me was Rachel talking about the need to fight China due to Chinese expansionism, but then also showed open interest in American expansionism, taking over Greenland, taking over land in other countries and stuff. That type of expansionism also does scare people, and it damages American soft power, and it damages American soft power with nation states and entities that'd be perfectly willing to work with us. For the last like 20, 25 years, we've been slowly drawing down our American military presence on Greenland under the understanding that we told them that it's not necessary. It hurt some of the local economy because they didn't have as many soldiers coming to certain like, bars and stuff, but they had to adjust to that reality. Then all of a sudden, we need our presence there so significantly that they can't even exist as an independent entity. It's just that type of expansionism makes people quite scared of the United States when it's not necessary to be scared of the United States because no American has no problem with no Greenlander. Also, I would say that we keep saying very clearly, like, oh, the Iranian government's going down, the Ayatollah's dead, it's all over. This is a very simplistic view of the Iranian model. The Ayatollah was 86 fucking years old. He was going to die eventually. The model knew they were going to die eventually. The Council of Elders knew he was going to die eventually. And even if you've blown up every like 90 or 92 Council of Elders members, if there's one left, if there's a few left, and they can choose another Ayatollah, this system, the Islamic Revolution, maintains as long as the IRGC controls the ground with 190,000 men and a 1 million strong militia. Unless you can remove their ability to go suppress protests, you haven't really established control of anything. You haven't been able to establish control of the oil fields, of government offices, of anything. You've been able to establish control of certain waterways. You've been able to bomb the country. As of 3 hours ago, we've been letting loose on our energy infrastructure, but that doesn't destroy the government. What we could do is end up using a huge amount of our PAC-3 interceptors throughout the Middle East. The Gulf states already burnt through well over 1,000. In 36 hours, we burnt through more PAC-3 interceptors in the Middle East than the entirety of the war in Ukraine. In 36 hours. And people are going to say, oh, you know, the war in Ukraine, that constrains the resources. We send aid, we send this, it's too expensive. But we fire off more in 36 hours, and I don't even get a peep from the MAGA base. I just don't understand how we're supposed to make this pivot to Asia if we're always firing at Iran or at Iraq or at this. We've been talking about the pivot to Asia since the Obama administration, and Trump was supposed to be the guy who did it, and then he delivers what? A war with Iran.
Sarah, can I make a real quick claim that I think will feel, because no one's making any actual hard claims. I would make a claim that this war, our involvement in the war in Iran, is specifically for Israel for the reason because Iran is the only power in the Middle East that can provide any objection to any Israel military supremacy. That's a claim. And Dylan, I agree with everything you said.
I might
Rachel, hold on. Rachel had her hand up. Go ahead.
I just want to address the issue of Greenland, to Dylan's point about Greenland. Nature abhors a vacuum. Because of the mineral deposits and the Northwest Passage, that's opening up. So because of global warming, so it was something I don't believe in at all. But anyway, so that's opening up.
Wait, if you don't believe in it, why is it opening up?
China is moving into it because the planet moves in cycles. You recycling. You fucking
That's a goddamn conspiracy.
Hold on here.
Go
ahead, Rachel.
You put your banana peels in the recycle bin if you even do that.
The compost bin, thank you.
Where you are. Yeah, it goes in the organic.
We're Marylanders. Marylanders have been trained and raised.
Yeah, no, we are green warriors. We've been trained in the way of green jihad.
Yeah,
everything
in Canada,
is
we call
green
you
out here.
retards. But anyway, so here's the deal. Is that China has their own designs on taking over that territory and taking over Greenland. And what, Canada's going to stop them?
They don't.
No, we don't have the power
They don't
to
have
do
an
anything.
interest in it. I mean, the Chinese showed some interest in buying some storage units, but they're not taking over Greenland.
China already defined itself as an Arctic power. China, who has no business at all dealing with the Arctic Circle, has identified itself, self-titled itself as an Arctic power.
Okay.
And so they are using their influence, and definitely they're using Canada as their stepping stone to get
Trump claims space for America.
Trump
So
already
what?
got
Freedom
the deal.
Promise.
Here's the deal, kids. Trump already got the deal with Greenland. That is fait accompli. It's done.
What deal did he get?
Got control of Greenland.
What deal did he get?
He gets to increase military.
America can put as many resources there as they want for as long as they want for forever.
That was already the deal. That's been the deal since the Cold War.
That was not the deal.
That absolutely was the deal.
It was already a part of the deal.
Well, hold on. I want
Go ahead, Gibbs.
Okay, go ahead, Gibbs.
I want to go back to what Omar said with the Israel thing. Let me just grant. I'm going to just grant maybe a portion. Let's say 30-40%.
Say which portion, please.
We're going to war for Israel, right? Let's say I'm going to say 30%.
Wait, can I just quickly? Wait, no. So we're going off topic Greenland. Can we wrap up Greenland? I just wanted to I'm sorry. I just really quickly
Vikings.
say.
It belongs to the Vikings.
China's not going to invade Greenland. It's a NATO protected country. Like it's not able to put military troops there. China's very far from Greenland, and it's also right next to North America. NORTHCOM would destroy China if China tried to invade Greenland. It would be devastating. They would not be able to get their forces there. It's not even functionally possible. In fact, there's a better chance of the Chinese succeeding if we do invade, make the locals hate us, and make them want to work with foreign agents.
Agreed. Agreed.
Gibbs, go ahead. You wanted to tie it in.
Yeah, I'll tie into the Greenland thing in a second. But I mean, Greenland's part of the greater strategy, right? Which is like, I think we're in a new imperialist America state, right? We've gone away from what they call what was it called? Neo-imperialism, where we build the bases and we try to a country build. I think we're going back more to we want direct control of shit now, right? And so I think Iran, maybe let's say it's 30% because we're friends with Israel. Okay, let's say, and another 15% because we're friends with the Saudis, right? And then we can also say Iran's not tied to Russia, so let's add that 10%. I don't know, but the big one is the oil, right? And the reason why I say this is because y'all talk about the bankers' war. I will grant this as part of a bankers' war because one, we go and take out Venezuela and we get exclusive oil rights with them. We stop that from China, and they were buying 80-90% of their oil from them, right? And then they were getting 80-90% of Venezuela's production. We go and take out Iran. Now we've taken out about 80 to 85% of China's overall oil infrastructure, like where they're getting the oil from. This is going to devastate them, right? And yes, I know that the Strait of Hormuz now is going to drive oil prices up. But if we're securing this is part of this greater idea of America is first. America's going to get the benefits up front. And then if they make it where it's a regime change and it gets a regime change, then it's going to open up for American companies to go in there and build infrastructure, American oil companies to be able to move in. If it never regime changes, and this is going to be real callous when I say this, that's better for America and for Israel and for the Saudis, because it might cause more terrorism on their shores. However, terrorists are not nearly as bad as a activist country that is actively funding terror groups and private armies all over the Middle East, all over the world. It's a threat level down, right? ISIS is bad. They're not as bad as the tri-country alliance of Syria, Libya, and Iraq, right? Same thing here. Whatever comes out of this, it might not be good, might not be American friendly, but it's going to be a lot weaker than what Iran was before. And what it seems like Trump's doing is he's taking out the dominoes, right? You mentioned domino theory previously. This is the new domino theory. We're talking about the Domino Doctrine. He's taking over Venezuela. He's going to take over Cuba. He's going to secure America, right? He's going to get rid of Iran because they're the state sponsor of terrorism. They supply Russia with drone tech. They are allies. They supply them with the oil. This is part of his greater strategy, right? And that's kind of where I see this going with this. So whenever we go, oh, it's the Jews and the Zionists, oh God. I mean, Maybe it is, but it's not all of them. Like, it's not like we're self-interested. What do the Zionists have to do with Cuba? What do they have to do with Venezuela? Jack shit. Like Iran, maybe, yeah, Israel.
What does Cuba have to do with the conversation? What does Cuba have to do with the conversation?
The question.
It's just explained why it is pertinent.
It's all part of this overall strategy of getting resources.
No, I believe there are two different. Yeah, so there are two different strategies. One is America's interest in controlling a part of the hemisphere, and a second is the reason why we're over there saying Iran's our enemy. These are two different. Well, from my perspective, these are two different conversations. I can grant you everything about China, Cuba, influence. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to ask a question for the pro-Iran war people. Let's say, for example, hypothetically, that Israel, let's say we take out Iran, right? And like Iran's now under control. Let's say Israel then, because I mentioned earlier how they're eyeing Turkey. If they invade Turkey, whose side should we take? Because Turkey is a NATO ally. Whose side should we take then?
Turkey, let's back the Kurds and the Israelis. That's what we should have done.
We banned the Kurds. Yeah, we already banned the Kurds.
We either banned the Kurds several times.
If Israel attacks, if they go aggressor mode against a sovereign nation, they're the aggressor.
Against Turkey? Israel's not going to attack Turkey. There's no way.
Hold on. Is Lebanon a sovereign nation?
Hold on. Let her finish her thought. Rachel,
Lebanon,
did you?
Lebanon is a sovereign nation,
So what was your
but
point?
it has a problem in so much that Hezbollah is so integrated into. You got to take Hezbollah out. You got to remove
guess
Hezbollah.
what? All they have to do is say inside of Turkey. Here's the sales pitch.
People, Omar. You conflate.
By the way, Turkey has terrorists there.
You're both talking. We can't hear either of you, Omar.
And during the Ottoman Empire, they used to kill people in the 1600s. And now there's people in Turkey that are terrorists. So we have to take out Turkey before they attack America. How many times do we have to hear the same bullshit before we realize that someone else wants us to do it and we're just doing it?
Turkey was our first enemy, bro, with the Ottoman states and the
Israel attacked.
Go ahead, Rachel. I'll let you finish your thought, and then Dylan.
Israel attacked Hezbollah after Hezbollah says we are now declaring ourselves at war with Israel. We are entering this conflict.
His disregard of life in the name of lining the pockets of the wealthy.
That's why Lebanon got hit, because they declared war on Israel. Don't declare a war on Israel and get involved in this thing, and you'll be left alone.
That's not the Lebanese government. That's Hezbollah. That's a terrorist organization.
That's who Israel's going against.
Dylan, you want to chime in?
Mexico. We should bomb Mexico.
Can I ask one question? Can I ask everybody one question? Can you hear me very well when I'm talking?
Yes, ma'am.
So there shouldn't be any reason when I try to guide you or tell you to stop or anything.
Omar.
Like this shouldn't be a problem, right? All right, Dylan, I want to hand it back over to you. I saw your hand up.
Everybody quiet down. A Marylander is speaking. Thank you very much.
That's right.
So I just quickly, Israel's never going to bomb Turkey because Turkey's in NATO. And it makes no sense for them to do it. It's not worth it. It's never going to happen. Lebanon, Hezbollah has been working in southern Lebanon for years. And so that's why they're bombing Lebanon. I want to actually ask Gibbs something, because I know Gibbs and me, we both support Ukraine because we don't like to bang rocks together on our afternoons. And I see what you're saying about the Iranian weapon production and their drones and stuff, but this war for your pocketbook might be good, but for the Ukrainian war effort and for Americans' pocketbook, it's a little different. Oil prices going up helps who? It helps the Russian Federation. And oil prices are about to go past $100 a barrel. And what did Trump do to try to relieve that pressure on international oil markets? Did he use America's global reserve? No, he didn't use America's global reserve. Did he try to lessen some regulation somewhere? No, he'd made it so that Russian oil was no longer under sanctions when going to India. And I heard Secretary Bessent talking on news saying he'd be willing to unsanction more Russian energy in order to try to find short-term relief. And so we got these barrels going over past $100, more and more of their products getting unsanctioned. Gold is going up, which is very useful for the Russians, who have gold mines in Sudan, the Central African Republic. They have pretty decent-sized gold reserves that they've been spending throughout the war effort. This helps the Russian, as well as helping, gas companies charge more Americans at the pump. And so this might help your stock portfolio, but the economic effects of the war have been largely negative. Even the Dow's going down, which Trump has bragged about quite a lot.
I actually have a response to that, and I actually will grant almost everything you're saying. Like I like the parts I may disagree with are so small it doesn't matter, right? So like I'll grant everything you said is 100% accurate, except this is not a short-term solution. Absolutely, in the short term, Ukraine's going to take a hit. Like I'm going to give an example that seems a little bit out there, but I promise I'll relate that. The country that's benefited the most from like Venezuela being taken down, Iran becoming weaker, the Ukraine war is North Korea. North Korea has gained a lot of power because of this. They're sending troops over, they're modernizing, they've gotten out of their famine, and it's because they've been at like 0, and now if you go up by 10, that's a power to the 100 times or whatever. The math it's increase, right? So, however, by taking out Iran, by taking out Venezuela, we've knocked out big pieces. And although Russia may gain in the interim a small amount or even a large amount, it's still a net loss overall. And in the long term, by eliminating Iran, that's going to drive oil prices way down. So in the short term, the next few months, absolutely oil prices going to rise. But once we secure the Strait of Hormuz, all the way down, it's going to be like the cheapest it's ever been. That's going to be huge.
How do we secure the Strait of Hormuz without securing the coastline, which the Strait of Hormuz rests upon?
Well, easily. We bomb the shit out. It's real simple.
That'll work. That's a good one.
It's working so far. I just read the numbers, y'all.
Oh my God.
But they're down to launching 18 drones a day. I'm sorry. We can set up a couple of Aegis frigates out there and mow them down.
I like your style, Gibbs.
Now, I'd like to finish my my train of thought, if possible, with Gibbs here. So. You talked about earlier about going against the Iranians to try to strangle like Chinese energy and flow, because the Chinese have been taking like 70 to 80% of Iranians' energy output for a very long time. That heavy crude is very important for the electricity production, petrochemical production.
Of our sanctions.
And largely because of our sanctions. But
we forced them to do that.
But they probably would have done it regardless, because China's right there. They have the energy infrastructure in place, but they would trade it elsewhere if it wasn't because of the sanctions. They'd have other trading partners. If we go in there, currently the Trump administration's demands is get rid of your atomic program entirely. That means no 3% or 20% enrichment for medical or civilian purposes. Hand that enriched material over to the United States when the Iranians are talking about handing over to the Russians. I don't want that either, but that's currently what they want. Then on top of that, they get rid of their ballistic missile program, all of their ballistic missile production, and then they stop funding all the proxies in the Middle East. That means no more money for Hezbollah, no more money for the Houthis, no more weapons, no more anything like that. Khatib Hezbollah, get fucked in Iraq, all that shit. And then on top of that, we're going to demand them to stop trading all this energy with China to try to changle the Chinese. Even if we are somehow successful in getting regime compliance, which is much more likely than regime change, if we are even able to get that, these are such maximalist demands. Getting them all is going to be extremely difficult. And if they were to accept all of these demands, the regime would look weak. They would look like they're actually ripe for being overthrown.
But no one should ever accept that stuff. A 3,000-year-old empire is not going to accept a 300-year-old empire telling them bow and kiss the ring.
Well, I have a cool solution for that, though. It's really cool. It's called
bomb the shit out of Strait of Hormuz.
I'm sorry.
All right.
You have too many Trump books. I think you're playing a character.
Speaking of bombing the shit out of them, I'm going to bomb the shit out of the super chats, which means we're going to all get along for a couple minutes and we can maneuver. We've been carrying the conversation through each topic, so I'm not concerned with switching it. But I would like to switch gears and maneuver. In Agertonston, whatever. Who the fuck is Dave? Does anybody know who Dave is? Okay, that's what I thought. But thank you for the big 2. I don't know who Dave is. And of course, David Donnelly comes in with the big 10. I love David Donnelly. He says, hi, Sarah, Rachel, and co. Finally, a reasonable, measured debate and exchange of info on several sides that a clueless Brit like me can be educated with. Thanks. Actually, I've been thinking about this whole time, calling it Seriously Saturday, where it's not blood sporty, where we can get some other people who don't like the blood sport in for more conversation. So it's a good thought feedback there, David. And I highly recommend the chat. Let me know your feedback. I'd like to know what you think about having a more tame panel, with exception to Omar. He's going to learn the wrath of Sarah pretty fast. I love you, though. We're training you still. We're training you still. Fourth Wiseman.
I still have PTSD from Monday with.
I know,
I'm
right?
like defending my. I mean, he came and attacked me from the beginning. I thought I was in the same problem. So okay.
It's good. It's good. You're doing great. You're doing great.
You need to book a tour on Liberace Cruises with Papa.
Well, most people know my rule
you.
here. Most people know my rule here. If I start talking, everybody just shuts up because I won't interrupt you guys. I won't bother you guys unless I need to for purposes of the show.
In all honesty, when I talk, I can't hear anything else, and I'm watching lips move to see. But that'll be so. This will be the last time I have the problem. After that,
yeah,
no
I was gonna say I think that's the earbud issue. I noticed the earbuds usually do that. Fourth Wiseman with the Big Ten says this is why silver has risen. Electronics requirements with no recycling return. Boom. Yes, and I believe the Powder Dusty called this a long time ago. He said buy silver, buy silver. This is not financial advice, but buy silver, and this is exactly what we're seeing.
Let me tell you something about the buying the metals, though. I want to tell you a story real quick.
Ooh, story time.
I was Powder Dusty put me on this, and I've never been a metal investor guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, okay, I got like $5,000 to play with this. Let's just see. And I'm like, how much is my return gonna be? And he goes, $35. And I go, Dusty, if I put $5,000 into something and the risk is high and I only get $35 back, we're gonna have a real fucking problem. Maybe
he's gonna bomb you.
The metals. Yeah, I'm gonna send the drone after you, the Reaper one.
Fair enough. Inag says, how stop Dave from joining forces with DPRK? I still don't know who the fuck Dave is, but thank you for the $2. Fourth Wiseman with the Big Ten.
Dave.
Right, apparently so. Fourth
Literally?
Wiseman sends no. Nobody out here knows. Fourth Wiseman says with the Big Ten, they're attempting to split the BRICS, but it won't work and everyone loses. All right, anybody have a quick thought to that?
BRICS is an organization that was founded in like a paper talking about rising economies, and then it became, after that paper, that word then got adopted by a set of countries who created like an economic, really more like an economic council where they all come together and talk about generally like decentralizing economic control, but they've got no like currency competition. Many of them hate each other. India and Pakistan are not exactly friends, but they're both in BRICS. And you can find that with like a bunch of other countries now in the ever expanding version of BRICS. They have a general agreement that they'd like to see power decentralize. And what they mean by that is they would like their own countries to have more power, but many of them are jostling with each other. So when we say like split BRICS, BRICS is already split along a lot of geographic and like economic problems. It's not, you don't really have to split BRICS, you just watch it.
What they're saying is they're attempting. They're meaning us, and so what they're saying is the us meaning the head of NATO, right? So BRICS was just a counteraction to the NATO supremacy from those that were not allowed to play pick for kickball, and so they said we're going to play kickball over here. As a matter of fact, we'll like play our version of kickball over here. That's not the cool part. This is. And so all these global alliances have to go because it puts us in positions where we are accountable for other people's words and actions and so on. So I'm more of an independent nationalist perspective, I don't care what England, I don't want to go bomb something because of England or Israel or Afghanistan or any of that shit.
That's an old American position. I disagree with it, but I know it.
I want to talk about conservatives for a second here, guys. Listen, MAGA people. Hey, listen, this is where me and you differ sometimes. India, that's who we need to get in bed with. The Hindus hate all the same people we do, and they have a lot of production, and they're pretty good at tech. I know y'all don't like
they love the Russians, dude. They love the Russians. Come on.
Yeah, but we can
half
steal
their military
them.
equipment's Russian.
We can steal them from the Russians. They can buy U.S. weapons instead.
Yeah, we'll steal them from the Russians.
They don't need.
They have a
their
border
own
with
weapons.
Russia. Russia's right there, but we'll still. Okay.
Then maybe we just help them take over that border.
Listen, hold on, real quick. Let's pay attention to history real quick. The British literally sent a letter and said, "We're coming and we're taking over your country, and if you're lucky, we'll give it back to you in 100 years." They literally just walked in and said, "Now it's ours."
That's base.
India's going to do something. India's going to do something.
Yeah,
India.
They're a military power, right?
You think everything revolves around planes. If everything revolves around planes, then how come we haven't won? After you bomb and everyone hides, you have to actually take with ground troops, okay? You think that India is going to do what, where? Where's India going to take over?
You do know India, sends their ground troops to fight
billion
China and Pakistan regularly, right? Like this is a thing they do. Like,
buddy, you're talking about the Sikhs in India. That's not even
Here's an interesting.
You don't understand. So hold on. I understand. The admiral.
I understand.
Here's the admiral's worldview. Here's America, and here's brown people, and here's brown South America. Like India is. Do you understand how many different types of Indians there are?
First of all, I know I look white. I'm only white passing, papa. I'm fucking about as Hispanic as it gets. My dad's illegal, and I don't know him. So, like, let's fucking go on who's more brown card. I feel like I got plenty of bets on that.
I probably got you, but
you might. But I'm just saying.
I probably do.
I don't have no problem with brown people. In fact, I like brown people. They got oil.
You talk like you do, brother. No offense, but you.
I don't care about what color, green.
Hey, can you
Rachel, it sounds like Rachel. It sounds like you had a thought to add in on this one.
Well, I mean, there's so much smorgasbord here. An interesting point about India, how they're going to do it. They're boots on the ground, this sort of thing. The Indian foreign minister just said, "Hey, Canada, how about we ship 60 million Indians from our country over to your country?" Now, interesting side note, the current population of Canada is roughly 44 million. So de facto overnight, Canada, if we were to agree to India's kind offer, because we have a zero growth rate going, zero, I mean, it's at zero. The only population growth Canada is doing is through immigration. 60 million would immediately turn Canada into an Indian province. We would become an Indian protectorate because their representation, their people would be here. They certainly haven't internalized any, quote, Canadian values, whatever those might be. I would suggest.
Do you think that the surge in oil prices is helping the Canadian growth rate?
Are traditionally American values. Go ahead.
But why are we talking about Canada? First of all, Canada is a shit country.
Hold on. Dylan asked a question. I wanted to hear it.
Well, no, my question was like, do we think that the increase in oil prices is helping the Canadian growth rate that you care about?
Who cares about the Canadian growth rate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest.
I mean, this panel's going everywhere. It's going every direction.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, the Indians seem to hate most people we do, except for Russia, I guess. But this sounds like there's a Canada problem. Sounds like get good scrubs. Like I'm sorry. Like y'all need population.
Well, where it becomes a problem for you is if we become a de facto BRICS nation on your border. Now we're in strike.
Then we bomb them.
Wait, the main way we can do that is if we keep telling Canadians that their country doesn't matter. We can annex them, 51st state. We keep talking to them. Mark Carney wouldn't have won. If Trump kept his mouth shut, Mark Carney wouldn't have won the election. Trump gave the election to the liberals. He did that.
Yeah, but here's my position: my position as a MAGA person is I want us to be annexed. We will prosper like nobody's business. We will prosper far more under American directorship than we have under the criminals that are running the country currently. They're all corrupt, bought off by China. They're almost immune to anything. They admitted that they spied on their own.
I'm going to take it back and hold everybody up.
Zero interest in managing those states.
Let's move. I just got a few more super chats to read, and then I would like to move to the next topic because it brings it more on domestic property or domestic territory here at home, and I really would like to get through it. Texas Bully Mom sends it the Big Ten just to tell you all to fuck you. I got the goal. Thank you. Crawl Rust, I always mess your name up, sends the Big Ten, says ship tracker says no ships are going through the strait. I believe this was in regards to what Gibbs was saying.
Not true. In fact, I posted an article today in my Discord. Check it out. There's a Greek billionaire sending all of his shipping in, and he's 1/6 the world shipping, and he's sending them in. And that was before they announced that the U.S. was going to start sharing the ships and supporting them with U.S. frigates. So we'll see how that changes things here soon.
I'll accept it. Thank you. Fourth Wiseman with the Big Ten says Ricky Martin says, here we go. Ole, 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 ole. Fourth Wiseman comes to the Big Ten says all junkies are metal recyclers, but not all metal recyclers are junkies. I love it. Nice little logic twist there. Leo with the Big Ten says, is American seeing other countries through its trade?
Sure.
What?
Admiral is.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with that one. And then James sends in over on the Buy Me a Coffee app a big 50 bones with nothing to say but fuck your goal. Fuck your goal very much. But you guys have been doing great on the goal. Thank you so kindly. I haven't had to say a word. It's going to be a great night. And good here because it's thank you for the kind reminder. Oh, Ike's here too. Spin City says with the Big Ten, 9:15, can't wait. It'll be a tad pushed because we started like 10 minutes late. Everybody showed up late. It's all their fault. It's all their fault. Blame everybody. No, not really. It's okay. But we'll start about 10 minutes further. So maybe 9:25. We will open the panel. Okay, so all hell can and will break loose, and we will be moving over to the gauntlet. If you already know where you're going, get there. If you don't know where you're going, reach out to the mods. Mods, drop the gauntlet in the chat, please, and let them know where they need to go ahead and subscribe to in advance so that we can get them over there and ready to roll. Ike, it's so nice to see you here. I normally always see you over on Dusty's. It's about time you made your way over. Win with the big 100 says, I support the Seriously Saturday vibe. Carry on. I do. Everybody agree this is a nice, like, not blood sport, killing each other, because usually we're running that drill. It's adorable, honey. I love it. All right. Here we go. Thank you so kindly, Ike. I'm going to leave that one up on the screen because it's my favorite color to put up here. Feel free to throw tomatoes in the chat. You guys know the drill and what you're doing. All right. The next question, I want to bring it back home.
Wait, the tomatoes are like your gang sign? It's not them saying boo. I thought every time they put tomatoes, they were saying, I hate you.
It's so funny, because that's what I always heard. It took me a while to figure that out because it was like every time I've ever heard people like tomato, and I'm like, oh.
We love tomatoes here. Tomatoes
Sarah loves her tomatoes.
Good. Yes. Send me all your tomatoes, everyone. Whatever chat you're watching in, tomatoes should be thrown at the screen in the chat right now. We love it all. You are at the Raging Tomato, so I don't know how.
You'll like it here, Sarah. We're growing a metric fuck ton this year again. We're going to grow a metric fuck ton of tomatoes here, so.
Lots of tomatoes. Welcome to Mater Nation, all of you. All right, question number 3. And we're going to go for about 40 minutes on this one, and then we'll maneuver into open panel. So if you have some shit to say, be taking notes, all right, so you can join in on the fun here shortly. How will the U.S.-Iran conflict impact current voter behavior? We're seeing us go through the primaries right now, and a lot of things are being thrown around. A lot of things are kind of interfering on that. It says future electoral outcomes and overall confidence in specifically the Republican Party. We're seeing a lot of MAGA people throw their hats away. They're burning them. They're saying, fuck MAGA. I'll never go back. We're seeing even Nick Fuentes completely did a whole 180.
Come on,
He gave up the MAGA hat and got his America First blue hat. And he's saying, go vote Democratic, and yet now I think he's being a little bitch about it, but I want to know your thoughts. How are the voting behaviors going to maneuver from here with everything happening? Again, let's try to keep the conversation internal in terms of America based and not necessarily external. We've talked about all the other countries. Go. Let's go with Rachel.
So, if America loses a war, then they're going to lose the election. Hopefully, ideally, the idea, remember, people forget, maybe they've forgotten already, that the Israeli people were already rioting and there were marches in the streets, and the government there had to crack down on all that. So there is certainly a percentage of the native Iranian population seeking liberty from the bonds of the current government. If Trump succeeds in doing this, and that we get the regime change we want, that Iran ceases to be a state sponsor of terrorism, that's a huge victory. If Trump gains Cuba, that's another victory. If the economy, and then you got, while you're going through it, obviously the markets are going to react volatilely. Trump was very intelligent in starting the war on Saturday after the markets had closed so they wouldn't collapse at the opening strike of the war. That was intentional. So my feeling is that if Trump is able to standard living, gas prices down low, food prices down, housing prices, all these elements down, get control of that as well. It's always the economy, stupid, as Bill Clinton said. But in the foreign policy area, if he gets some wins in that category, demonstrative wins, then I think his base will continue to grow. Trump requires a coalition. It's not just hard right MAGA types like me, but we do require other people. Speaking of Nick Fuentes, what's her name? You mentioned at the top of the show, she was mentioned. Candace Owen. These people are all grifters. They're after themselves. The other one was, who's the fun guy? Milos Stephanopoulos or whatever the hell he was.
Stephanopoulos,
Milo. He's another idiot.
Yiannopoulos.
He's British.
Yeah,
he's
Yiannopoulos. Oh my God.
But
Stephanopoulos is what you're thinking.
I got
he's
psyops.
British.
Milo. I'm just talking about snazzy dressed Milo, okay? All these morons are all in for the money. They're grifting away. And so they're being revealed for what they are. But that core base is very strong. And but there's problems. Certainly there are problems in North Carolina having no candidate to step forward except some Democrat in a hijab or whatever going to represent. I mean, this is nuts. What the hell's going on, North Carolina? Do something, fix yourselves. But anyway, so it all depends on success. We've got to see some results. It's a 4-year term, right, for Trump. But the Republicans got to get through. They've all got to get together on the Save America Act. I like the way Trump calls it, Save America. So he needs victories in these areas, and then I think we've got another win coming.
All right, Omar, to you.
Yeah, that was okay. So I think that the Trump 2016 election victory was a vote from the people, and we were like, we're done with this Hillary Clinton industrial complex, and the entire system, which he was calling out, and I couldn't have been more for it. When he assaulted Jeb Bush and just crushed them all, it was one of the greatest moments as an American I've seen on television, other than Hulk Hogan picking up Andre the Giant. That was another good one. But this, in 2020, I would say 51% that election was stolen as opposed to not stolen. That's another perspective, just to show you where I'm at. But right now, I could not be more not for Trump. I don't even know how you could make me less for Trump. I think that the typical thing right now is you're saying, anybody who doesn't agree with Trump as like the American Messiah, they're just, so Nick Fuentes isn't all about America. Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, they're not for America. Sure. But if they were to be like Trump, you know what? We're wrong. All for Trump. They're for America now. We're not falling for the Hasbara bullshit in English, okay? Anyone who's for America does not want any foreign influence. I don't want my family's from thousands of years of Afghanistan. I don't want any fucking Afghan people coming in here and taking control of our politicians, nor do I want Israelis or Koreans or Russians or anybody, okay? I'm not for any of the things. Trump is completely under siege. He is completely controlled. And if anyone's trying to argue that, I would love to hear that. And last point on this thing is I think that it's going to be a rude awakening of how bad it's going to overcorrect. I'm not looking forward to the potential problem, but if we get some Gavin Newsom, some silly Democratic leftist, I won't be surprised, because we are going to overcorrect so hard that it's going to be a disaster.
Fair enough. Alex, to you.
All right, so first things first, when it comes down to Nick Fuentes, my position on groypers has always been clear. They should all be spayed and neutered because we don't need any more of that filth around here. So that's point number one. Yes, I said it. I don't care. They can come after me. I don't give a shit. Second off, when it comes down to the whole grift aspect of things, there are some people that says, he lied to us. Well, that's Trump. He lies about everything. So Rachel's saying intelligence. Trump has no real intelligence. He's dumb as a box of hammers. It's just whatever people tell him because he doesn't like to fucking read. It's just he doesn't read intelligence reports. He always says, I heard it on Fox News. So that's point number one. When it comes down to the aspect of like how will this impact us, we're already seeing diesel prices skyrocket. UK prices are doubling up. Impact of shipping prices are going to take effect. Impact of it's going to hit the consumers at a later date because tariffs are already hurting American farmers. Like I've talked about this ad nauseum. We've lost $36 billion to these tariffs, let alone the fact that, inflation could very well be on another trend going upwards going forward. But when it comes down to the whole aspect of everything, like the thing is, the Republicans are getting their asses kicked across, with some of these, like people are, this is probably gonna be a blue wave, hopefully. But we have to understand something when it comes down to the big picture, because right now the Trump administration is not polling very well. Regardless of what they might tell you, they are not polling very well, because the biggest thing is because people said, Trump said he would promise no new wars. Guess what? We're in a new war. He said he was only going to go after the worst of the worst when it came down to immigration. He's gotten rid of everybody. Even people that vote for him are saying, I didn't vote for this, when in fact they actually did. Like the thing, if everyone thinks that like Trump actually is going to do well in the midterms, I'd say they're pretty much delusional, because usually how it goes, usually in an off year, whoever's president at that time, the opposition will then end up taking, and it's going to be a monstrous blue wave, honestly. I'd like to see more candidates come in, because right now, even a lot of the corporate Dems are in a lot of danger because a lot of the progressive candidates are stepping in. But it's going to have a massive impact, especially for the Republican Party. There's even some what they call rhinos that are against the war in Iran. And the MAGA, they're just doing whatever Trump says. If they say this is good, they're just going to parrot the exact same shit that he says. Oh, yes, this is great. This is fantastic. Because they can't get off the grift of Donald Trump. They have to support dear leader, or else they're going to get canceled off the side. Look what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene. The second she goes against the grain, she gets kicked to the curb and she gets called all kinds of names. But anyway, that's enough.
Fair enough. Mr. Gibbs, to you.
Yeah, I mean, the polling, that's always a good point, right? Look how accurate it was in the last election. Anyway, I mean, like, I guess that's why people follow Polymarket more. I like polling's worthless. But if we're going to talk about polls, there's polls out that came out last couple of days. Trump's got like a 78 to 82% approval rating among Republicans. That's pretty telling. We're seeing the great census that's going to happen, the new census that maybe will happen. We're seeing redistricting happening. I'm not super worried about midterms. We'll see. He's doing all sorts of cool things that here locally. Oil prices, they go way up. That might affect it. But there's a reason why he's doing it all now, before the midterms, so he doesn't have to risk it. We'll see. I don't know. I hear a lot of talk, from all these people saying it's too bad, and the progressives did win in the off-year elections, right? We look at what was his name, Madami. He's fucking failing, right? He's doing real terrible and pushing everybody like that was like, oh wow, this is what the progressive vision of the future is. And then he raids the teachers' pensions, to whatever. And then he's like, oh, I'm gonna get his voter ID, but let me get 2 forms ID to fucking shovel snow. It just shows the openly fucking bullshit double standard. Like, oh no, we're getting spread too thin with the Iran war. It's cost us so much money, when we find out that it's actually less money than was lost in the fraud in Minnesota. I'm just sorry. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm too worried. I'm not going to make a prediction, because they usually do flip at midterms. But I think things are going well. Jasmine Crockett's on the out. Big fan of that. Cornyn, he's either going to pass the SAVE Act, or he's going to get kicked to the curb for Paxton. You know what? I'll say it. Paxton's a huge piece of shit as a Texan, but he's our piece of shit, and he gets shit done. And so, I'm not too worried. Things are looking up. Overall, Trump keeps winning. And as for the hating the brown people thing that came up a little bit ago, I love all brown people. They should all live under one nation, the great American nation, under us, so we can all be equal. Everybody can benefit from our wonderful freedoms and our wonderful ass whippings that we had.
Admiral, I didn't say you hate. I just to clarify, I was saying classifying of tonalities. I wasn't saying.
No, I know. I'm sure.
And the fact that you're half Mexican or full Mexican, that makes you even more cool. And the outfit now makes complete total sense.
Well, it's like great value. Awesome. Miami Vice, because I'm from Corpus Christi.
There you go, Mr. Burns.
I also own a clothing company, so that helps.
Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, to you, please.
I do find it interesting that Gibbs loves all brown people, yet he supports blowing up the Ayatollah, a brown person. Very interesting. Now,
but the Iranian women.
There's a few things I want to say. Number one, weird North Carolina shout out about a woman did run wearing a hijab. She also lost I don't know why that's a pinpoint of focus for this discussion. Also, I think neutering groypers is a superfluous. Like this is like a pointless exercise. I don't know why you would do it. Lastly, 72 to 82% approval rating for Republicans is not good for Trump. That's a bad number. 78 to 82 is a bad percentage. Because if you're losing the majority of independents and you're losing over 90% of Democrats, the numbers does not balance out for you if his approval rating amongst Republicans is 78 to 82%. Amongst Democrats, it's something like 95% against. Amongst independents, it's something like 68 to 70% against, especially when it comes to the war. The war in Iran has really been an anti-independent move, at least how the polling indicates. Now, you don't need to believe the polling, but then you also cited polling. 78% to 82%. So we'll believe the polling to a point, but the polling is just one indication. It all depends on how this goes, on how it affects it. If this is all over in a week and it all looks like we took an off-ramp that will allow some amount of regime compliance in Iran, then maybe Trump can come out saying, I got something slightly better than the JCPOA. We got rid of the sunset clause on the provision on them getting an atomic weapon, something slightly different so he can present a win. But originally, you know what I heard? I heard from him, we're ahead of schedule, 3 weeks. Then it was 3 to 4 weeks. Then we heard 4 to 5 weeks. Then Marco Rubio said 8 weeks. And now I'm hearing him saying up to September is a possibility. If this gets closer and closer and closer to the midterms and the Strait of Hormuz is still getting any rockets thrown into it, there will be a certain amount of shipping companies that will not insure those boats. It will increase costs on both energy and shipping all across that area, and that will affect the United States no matter the fact that we're producing more oil right now than any country ever has anywhere. Energy independence, does that mean energy isolation from the markets? That's not what that means. And so if we extend this war for months and months and months, Americans like quick wins, okay? Americans were against the intervention. Then when Trump hit them hard, the polling indicated Americans were in favor of it. Because Americans thought, hey, we killed the Ayatollah. It's all going to be over in a week. We're big winners. But if it becomes 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 months, Iraq was a war we won, but it left a big sour taste in everyone's mouth. And it now has become like the object of.
Well, we were lied to, too, over that.
That's true. We were also, I think, lied to when it comes to how Donald Trump said we were going to intervene here. He told the Iranian people that the killing, if there's any more killing, the killing would stop. And then he waited for months to do fucking nothing as thousands of people were killed on the street. So what credibility does Trump even dictate to find the inspiration to tell the Iranian people to go overthrow their government if they look at us like a bunch of backstabbers? Look, all I'm saying is the longer this goes on, the better it'll end up looking for the Democrats, because they'll be able to come out and say, we're the anti-war party and it worked for Obama. Why the hell would it not work for whoever is going to run in 2028?
The MAGA hat now. The MAGA hat now is the Trump hijab.
That's what the kids are saying.
You are
Hold on.
Okay, Rachel, I'm a friend.
Yeah,
I am your friend.
Yeah, but the thing. Well, first of all, the hijab is subjugation of women, and you watch it. There's no subjugation. It's freedom, life, liberty, for pursuit of happiness. That's the freedom that MAGA teaches. That is the great again about MAGA. It's life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That's what the goal is. So speaking of Dylan, the reason I mentioned the primary, I said how I preface, I just want to address why I brought that up, is that that's one of the problems that the Republicans have, is that I can't believe that nobody was able to stand up in North Carolina and just run for office, even if they got their ass kicked. But anything would be better than to have somebody who's a Democrat stand in an open primary and run for the Republican nominee. It just, to me, it's nonsensical.
She lost. She lost in the Democratic
I don't
primary.
care if she lost.
She didn't even win the primary race.
No, but she entered in. That's my point, is that there should have been at least, couldn't we find one MAGA person in North Carolina to
run in the Democratic primary?
Well, no,
one MAGA person to run in the Democratic primary.
It was the Republican. It was the Republican primary, from what I understood.
No, it was a Democrat primary. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, clearly, Dylan, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was under the impression that she ran in the Republican primary.
I believe you're speaking of the only hijab-wearing person that I know of that ran.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
was I mean, her name was
Omar.
like Nita Alum, I believe, right? You're talking about Nita Alum?
I don't even remember the woman's
Okay,
name.
gotcha.
It's just the whole thing was so outrageous. I went, my God.
Wait, hold on, wait. Let me just ask this. Okay, maybe because I'm not like, I'm just a little confused. Like, is your objection that they're like Muslim and running for office, or your objection is they wore a hijab and ran for office?
No, my objection is that they were a Democrat running in a Republican primary.
It was a Democrat primary against a Democrat incumbent.
And if you look at the screen behind Mr. Omar here, you'll notice that he has "Controversy Creates Cash" up on the wall, and that's an excellent book that explains to y'all why this is all a psyop.
I have a diploma also, so maybe you should watch your words.
That's right.
We have the same diploma. It looks like, hold on, it looks like we have the same books.
You got three.
Looks like we have the same. Move your head. Looks like we have the same background.
Oh my God, it is.
Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. There was at least, I went to Grok AI for this. There was at least one notable case in the recent North Carolina primaries held March 3rd, where a self-identified Democrat progressive ran in a Republican GOP primary. The most prominent example is Kate Barr, a progressive lifelong Democrat who switched her party registration to Republican, specifically to run in the GOP primary for North Carolina's 14th congressional district. She challenged incumbent Republican Rep. Tim Moore. Barr openly described herself as running as a, quote, fake Republican or fraudulent Republican.
Right. We don't need to do the whole story.
So what I was saying is that it just seemed kind of weird to me that you would have a situation that, where you'd have somebody running this way in that primary.
Okay, you said somebody wearing a hijab, and the only person I knew was
Trump was a Democrat, and he ran. Trump was a Democrat, and he now is a Republican president. It's not that crazy.
Yeah, but
you said she had a hijab. Does it say anything? Does she wear a hijab?
That was a virtue signal. That was a virtue signal.
Let her answer it.
It looks like what I was doing was I conflated two different stories that were happening at the same time.
Okay. I was just confused.
So,
but saying they have a hijab is just as bad as saying they have a yarmulke.
If you want to know about if you're all hung up on this because of your Middle Eastern, Afghanistan roots, I don't know if you're beating your wife or if you have a wife or a goat or whatever the fuck you're fucking, but I'll tell you this much.
I guess we're starting early. I can tell you one thing that if
I guess we fucking are, Abdul. But
I guess.
Let's hear you, camel driver.
Let's show your true colors. Show us exactly why you're balanced. Tell us.
Okay. Well, maybe it's the whole idea of marrying 6-year-olds and then waiting till
I'm not going to
take
post 9/11 all over again. We're on the Howard Stern show.
She's 6 years
old.
Let her finish. Let her finish. Stop interrupting. God damn it.
Yeah.
Rachel, continue.
So my point.
No, don't change the subject. Finish what you're saying.
I'm on it.
You said marrying 6-year-olds and something about camels.
So this is all tied into the culture that brings us a hijab.
Okay,
the subjugation of women. Go ahead.
Now, let me give me 10 seconds. Number one, Afghanistan has less than 8% deserts. Number two, I'm not Muslim. Number three, you're wearing a fucking hijab right now. What was your other thing about wives and beating wives? I mean, would you like to talk to some of them? You'd want to fuck them yourself.
Well, it's part of Islam.
I'm not Muslim, you genius. I'm not Muslim, you.
Part and parcel of the
Rachel, it should be called Rachel's Demons. I am the shaman. I pull the demons out.
Good luck.
You're a fucking professional.
So here's the deal. So you've got in Afghanistan, you're talking about Afghanistan. Who is fucking running the Afghanistan? The Taliban? The fucking Taliban, mother. Come on, think about it.
My uncle's running Afghanistan.
Are they Islamic? Or is the Taliban Islam?
You're moving the goalposts. You were attacking me. You're wearing your fucking look. Okay, great. Now, Sarah, just 1 second.
Go ahead, Omar.
This was exactly my point. The hijab, the Make America Great MAGA hat. It's an ideology and of extremists.
It's a mental disorder, is what it is. It's a mental disorder.
My point.
I consider the transsexual part the disorder, but fair play.
It's the MAGA part. It's the MAGA part.
Don't be a victim. You're acting. No one said anything about that whatsoever.
I'll openly say it. MAGA is a mental disorder.
If I had a problem with that, I would tell you.
But the thing is, like, if
all right, why is it a mental disorder? Why?
If she's
hold on. I want Alex. Alex made a claim, and I want to understand why is MAGA a mental disorder?
The reason why is because they can't think for that unless Donald Trump tells them. Like, Donald Trump could say, I'm anti-war. Oh, look, he's anti-war. Then he's pro-war. Oh, he's pro-war. Look how strong our president is. They can't think for themselves. Whatever Donald Trump says, they will fucking bleat like sheep. And the thing is, like, Rachel can't even get her cultures correct. Like, listen, I
can't get my cultures correct.
Anyway, as I was saying, like, I'm an atheist. I don't give a shit about any religion. I think they're all bad. Period. Honestly, like, none of them are correct. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, is like, if you're going to be so upset about like all these Islamic cultures, why is it that Donald Trump's own son-in-law took $2 billion from Saudi Arabia that also is a fucking hotbed for Islamic fundamentalism, let alone the fact that they actually
marry a 6-year-old?
No, but the thing, of course they do, probably. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is like, we're talking about the Saudi Arabia actually has just as many human rights violations as Iran does. Does that mean we're going to attack Saudi Arabia next? And if we're going to talk about child marriages, for crying out loud, the United States had fucking child marriages all the way up until like what, 1990 or something like that.
Last year. No, we had
America,
last
even
year.
in Arkansas, we're not getting the 6-year-old.
We had child marriages this year. We had 2,800 marriages. Child marriages in 2015.
Dylan, were you trying to chime in a second ago as well?
Sure. I mean, I'll just throw out there that, okay, you know, it's very terrible about these child marriages. I agree. I don't believe children should be married off. I would also ask, though, you said it was the most transparent administration in history. Isn't it interesting that the admin is full of Jeffrey Epstein's friends who lied about being Jeffrey Epstein's friends, who hanged out with the chief kid fucker of the United States and then lied about it? Howard Lutnick said that he told the story. I went into Jeffrey Epstein's home with my wife, and I was disgusted by his massage table, and we walked out to never look at that bastard again. And then when we find out, he was hanging out with him 3-4 years later, chilling, vibing, bringing his kids and shit. I mean, that's wild. And so if you're going to come out here and talk about child marriages, well, I mean, I don't think you should do anything like that with the child. But let me tell you this, Jeffrey Epstein's friend didn't marry him before they touched him.
Agreed. Hey, Sarah, real quick, here's a statistic. Hold on. And here's a statistic, because it's an estimated 314,154 children as young as 10 were married in the United States between 2000 and 2021. Guys, all I'm saying is, let's clean our own fucking house before we point at other fucking people.
But we don't legitimize it. That's the issue.
Oh, they were married in American states, dude.
Was that legal?
Trump.
The two of you are going to be friends.
Was it done under legal sanction, or was it illegal, these marriages?
They were married in the United States in certain states.
Were they married? Were they sanctioned by the state that these marriages started?
Yes.
So 10-year-olds, what state allows a 10-year-old to get legally married? I'm curious about it.
Right. Just look up child. Listen. I'm not going to talk about this discussion.
Well, no, you better back it up. You're talking.
I'm sorry. Did I just read the statistic? I'm sorry. You want to go down the rabbit hole and defend Epstein type shit while pointing the finger and saying I'm about it. You saying I'm protecting child marriages and shit. No, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Rachel, you pointed at me. You pointed at me and said I support child marriages. You said I support child marriages. I point out we have child marriages here, and you defend child marriages. You're defending child marriages in America while pointing the finger at me.
I don't want it over here.
I'm against all of it. You're supporting it. Sorry. You support it.
Well,
go pull up the statistics. It's in the chat.
They should all go to the wood chipper. Fuck them all. I'm sorry.
Frankly, we should burn them all in the public town square and castrate on site.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here is pro pedo. I don't.
I sure as hell ain't. Hell no.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here likes
put them all into prison, honestly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll break for that. I've said multiple times, someone proves Trump definitively was diddling people. Throw him in the wood chipper too. I don't give a shit. I'm not married to Trump. I know I get pigeonholed as a MAGA guy, but I break from Trump on all sorts of policy, especially American beef. you fuck us with Argentina. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just sitting here like listening to this, and listen. This is the serious side. Like, we're like, if we're gonna argue about who's bad and what's bad, like, then I don't know. I feel like someone brought up Saudi Arabia. Was it you, Alex? You brought up Saudi Arabia. Yeah, they're also evil pieces of shit. But like, there are evil pieces of shit. That's the side we've chosen. And like, maybe I'm like underselling because y'all brought up the Zionist thing earlier. But like, it is team sports at the world stage, right? Like we like at some point we have to agree it's team sports, or we're on our own. And like, unfortunately for Iran, they're not in the squad. Like I just don't know really where else to go with that other than
guys, real quick. There is a nonprofit organization called Equality Now, a just world for all women and girls. And I sent the link. You can go read about the loopholes and rare exemptions for statutory rape, in this case, child marriages in the United States, and 34 states in the United States where it currently happens. So I don't need to go into the details of it. We have that shit here. We have pedophiles here. We have pedophiles there saying, Omar, you support pedophiles.
No, hold on.
But meanwhile, you're defending them right now.
Obviously, I don't. So here's the point. Omar. Is
you
that
said I
we don't
sanction
marriage. It's not sanctioned.
Hold
on, let her talk.
Sex with 9-year-olds is not sanctioned in the United States
of America. You said I support it.
No matter what Omar would like to have you believe, him and his camel rode in here and they're dropping this kind of bullshit on us.
Hey, asshole, there's no camels in Afghanistan. Get your racism organized, dumbass. There's no camels in Afghanistan.
All right, let's settle this one down.
There's no
let's move
deserts
over.
in Afghanistan. There's camels in Arabic countries. You know so much, remember? There's no camels in Afghanistan, idiot. I'm going to
move over to some super chats, and then we'll move to your closing thoughts. Then if you still want to stick around and duke it the fuck out with each other, we'll be on the gauntlet, and that's where you can do all that crazy shit.
It's going to be fun.
The MAGA hat is an Epstein protection cloak. You think you're invisible from the pedophilia.
I'm invisible from people interrupting me because I know that they absolutely positively don't here on my show because they all know my one rule. James with the Big Ten says Republicans lose in November, House, maybe Senate. Broke no new wars promise. This war isn't popular now, and support for war falls over time. Trump has not made good on his domestic policy. Any MAGA supporters, please respond.
I love the president.
I guess I'll still answer this one, even though I'm not really super full on MAGA. It's not that he broke no new wars. It's he's fulfilling America first, and that's kind of the route he's taking. Now, whether or not you think he's accomplishing that's a whole different debate. But his argument, one, he's also said he'd bomb the shit out of him. That was a campaign promise. So, no, it's not broken promise. Now if it turns into a forever war, then I'll say it's a broken promise. But until then.
Yeah, and as a MAGA, I'm full on MAGA. I defend it. I already answered this earlier in the show. This is not a forever war. This is a whole different thing than you've ever seen before. America's not going to set up another puppet leader. The power goes to the people of Iran. If freedom is yours, the republic is going to be yours, Iran, if you can keep it. We're just creating the opportunity for it to happen for you. And I pray to God that it will happen.
Well, here's why that whole entire thing falls apart, because when Russia invaded Ukraine, every fucking Republican blamed Joe Biden for that. They say, well, guess what? No new wars under Donald Trump. And they blame Biden for the invasion of Ukraine. They blame Biden for all this shit. And the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump says, when under my administration, no new wars happened, which is also not true. A couple wars did happen under his first administration. It was between Armenia and Azerbaijan, but nobody, because it's not a huge country conflict, nobody really gives a shit. But the fact of the matter is that he bragged all 4 years while Biden was in office that he started no new wars. He started this war between us in Iran. So that's all.
The Armenian conflict?
Armenia, Azerbaijan, that was in 2020.
Yeah, but did he start that?
That's not his fault.
I didn't say he started. He said no new wars started under my watch.
Yeah, but nobody's talking about listen. If that's the case, this is not really being nitpicky. I know it's going to come off that way,
it's probably going to be nitpicky.
But yeah, but if we're, when I hear him say no new wars, you can tell me if I'm retarded or whatever. But you might think I am. When I hear no new wars, I hear no new wars America start, right? And now we can argue about Iran or whatever. But when we're talking about no new wars, I don't think we're talking about Azerbaijan. We're not talking about Rwanda
We're not talking about all these African nations. There's tons of wars that got started. He wasn't involved in it.
But the fact of the matter, but my point is that every single Republican you could possibly think of, even Trump blamed Joe Biden for Ukraine getting invaded by Russia. They were very specific about this. They say no new wars started under my administration, which that's not
you got 2 points there, Alex, right? You're making 2 points. One is no new wars, and one is Biden started. And Biden created the circumstances whereby that occurred.
No, they did not create the circumstance where Russia invaded Ukraine. Everybody was talking about like
I believe they did. I believe they did through NATO and through the Minsk Accord was disregarded that Russia had agreed to, and so
talk about the Minsk Accord
by NATO orientating and moving in and supporting Ukraine, Russia went in. They saw it as provocation and said, okay, we're going to go in here and make sure that we stop this encroachment. There was a red line and Ukraine crossed it. Russia went after it.
Ukraine didn't cross. Sorry, you can continue.
We've been leading the crossing since World War II. We crossed it over and over since World War II. The final line was Ukraine.
I would answer, but Dylan's got experience, so I'm going to let him take this one.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, like, the Russians are not like children. They're not naive little fucking like amoebas. For the entirety that Russia has existed as a concept, as a nation, as a national idea, it has been inherently expansionist as an empire. Russian nationalists and those aligned with the government defined Russia as an expanding empire. You hear Putin say things wherever the Russian soldier steps, that is Russia. And when he went and months before he even invaded the country, he wrote full essays nerding out about it, about how Ukraine can only exist as an extension of Russia. They are the brotherly peoples. They are the nation that belongs to them. And so I just don't believe that if NATO didn't expand, all of that ideological domination, all of those beliefs, of Russia's benefits from having access to Crimea or controlling Ukraine, that all of that would fade. In fact, there's a chance to say that instead of invading in 2014, they would have invaded in 2010 or 2009 or 2008 because there'd be nobody to combat them.
With all due respect, that's very similar to the concept that you have about we're going to strike Russia, we're going to strike Iran because they're thinking about striking us. After World War II, we made specific pacts, and then we reaffirmed that in the 90s with James Baker. We said we're not going to move an inch past the current status.
We didn't, but okay.
And since then,
Gorbachev said we did it. You can ask Gorbachev if you want, but Gorbachev said it's not true.
When was Gorbachev? Hold on. When was Gorbachev not in office?
Gorbachev was no longer in office
in decades, man. What are you talking?
The agreements you're talking about, made by James Baker, was made during the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Exactly. That's what I just said. And so since then, we have been encroaching.
That wasn't made. That didn't happen.
Hey, guess what? Maybe if I finish the argument, you'll be able to actually make a statement.
Well, no, because if I say, Ronald McDonald was president of Russia, I could stop you fucking there. I don't need to hear the rest.
Yeah,
of
that's another straw man. No one's talking about food nor Ronald McDonald, buddy. We're talking about Ukraine, Russia conflict, correct? So McDonald's has nothing to do with it. What are you talking about? Explain McDonald's.
Are you slow?
Explain your McDonald's analogy.
My point was that it isn't true. If somebody says something that is inherently not true, I don't need to hear the rest of what you're saying. If the foundational statement that you're building upon, I disagree with. I'm stopping you there.
So you disagree that we have made a pact with Russia that we would not go past a certain line and we've been encroaching with NATO?
That is not clear.
Okay. So since 1990, there hasn't been a new NATO country between Germany and Russia province. There hasn't been no new NATO expansion.
Oh, there has. Bulgaria, Romania, Estonia, Latvia.
So there has.
We didn't agree to expand. That's why we expanded.
Why don't you stop making up straw men again?
What do you mean a straw man? I don't even know what you're saying.
Now bring up Burning Man. Let me teach you for a second. It's when someone's talking about Ukraine and Russia. Oh, okay. Oh, that was a good one.
It wasn't a good one.
Wrap this exchange up so we can move on.
Listen, I understand that you have the Ukraine flag behind you. I actually been to Ukraine over 15 times in 2 years. So I've also been there, buddy. Okay. I've also been to Russia.
Continue.
Yeah, I know you don't care because you obviously can tell that I'm going to say something that's against the Ukraine.
Just finish your point. Just fucking stop yapping.
I thought you don't care.
I said I don't care about you saying you've been there. If you've been there, good. That's fantastic. That doesn't change anything I've said.
Yeah,
I don't come in here like, oh, I was in Ukraine. I know so much better than I didn't say that.
Yes, you are. That's exactly what your intro was about yourself. You said that from the very beginning. No, I said that's what I do for
a living. Saying what I do for a living isn't I'm better than you. I know more than you.
You think you know more about this subject, definitely. Ronald McDonald.
I know more about the subject, but
therefore McDonald's.
I didn't say it. I just know it. I don't need to say it to know it.
McDonald's. Therefore,
right.
McDonald's. Got it.
Rachel, go ahead, add in your thought, and then I'm moving to the next super.
Hold on, let me finish my point.
No, I'm done now. You guys took too long to talk about Ronald McDonald. Go ahead, Rachel.
I was just going to say to the point about Putin, talk about expansionism. The doctrine's pan-Slavism. It's an old doctrine. Russia always used that in order to flex influence in the Slavic regions. But it doesn't mean that they're going to go into France and take over. They're not Napoleon. Russia's never had to do. We're talking about empires and the expansion of land. Russia's got enough to occupy itself. It always wanted Crimea. We know that. And so they went for it. They see Crimea as their territory. They went and took it. They've taken that. The ethnic Russians that they moved in and turned that area, the eastern Ukraine and the Donbass, and I will defer to Dylan on this. You know a lot more than I do, but I will say I think we can agree on the fact that those areas were Litvansk and Donetsk were Russian ethnic heavy areas because that's where the Russians came in. The Russian settlers came in to that area. And didn't in 2014, weren't those areas under fire from the Ukrainian government? Wasn't there actual military action in those provinces from the government against the people there?
It was the ATO, the anti-terrorism operation started by the new interim government to fight the rebel groups. Yeah.
Led by the Nazi Azov battalion, shooting at Donetsk.
It wasn't led by the Nazi Azov. You don't even know what Azov is if you said they led it. That's making fucking. They were one militia. How can one militia lead the entire army? That makes no fucking sense.
I'm sorry.
Next.
How can one militia? What entire army are you talking about?
Our Ukrainian army.
They're bullet sponges.
Azov is one group. How did they lead it if they're one organization?
Case in point, he said our Ukrainian army.
Azov was just a 101 led World War II.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what anybody has to say
over
at this
in
point.
Iran,
Keep screaming over each other. I just shut you all up and we move on. Now nobody gets to talk but me. Fourth Wiseman in with the Big Ten says addendum complete. The paradigm box is what keeps you trapped inside. You'll never escape it unless you can recognize it. Fourth Wiseman also follows up to say, heads up, 4 years of Iran will drag out. Stretch your perception for the creation of scheduled 2030 agenda. Next, Schmidta incoming. Wakey. Anybody have a thought to this?
What the fuck is a Schmidta? Is that a shitta? I don't know.
Maybe the guy with the stash kind of stuff. We always like to say it with different words.
Maybe it's the name of the Iranian missile.
The Shahid? The Shaheed? Isn't that what they're called? The New American Eagles. That's what they should be called, goddammit.
Real men of genius. Texas Bully Mom in with the Big Ten. I guess F your goal again. Shout out to the chat. They've been having fun completing goals all night. I love you so much for it. James says, second term Trump is the biggest disappointment in my lifetime. He learned nothing. New wars, Epstein, flip-flopping on immigration, donors, swamp, get what they and people get nothing. I am done with him. I'll turn it over to Rachel. Defend your leader.
James, obviously you love Kamala. You're all in on Kamala coming up 2028. It's going to be so exciting for you. You've got Pete Buttigieg, and he is. I have seen a lot of people breastfeed before, but I have not seen it done like young Pete Buttigieg. By gum. He is just one of the most, he has what I call a feminine side. And believe you me, I can recognize it when I see it. Pete's going to be your guy. Fantastic. Absolutely. And I hope that you enjoy all our newcomers and all the fun. And perhaps you'll be lucky enough to get your own 6-year-old bride in the new Democrat.
That was top arrangement.
I got to say, I like, as a Republican, I do want to put some money down because I'm a gambling man, if y'all didn't know. Right. I would put my entire life savings down that Pete Buttigieg is probably not going to be the nomination. Like, he's polling at 0% among African Americans. 0%. Like no, like that's a first in history. Like, and I don't trust polling, but I feel like if it's 0%, it's probably not a high percentage of African Americans want that guy as their fucking guy. I'm just wagering if I had to wager money on that.
I could honestly see more likely he gets a VP nomination.
That I could see. That I could see if they keep around.
Yeah, that's part of the game. That's like how we have Palantir's special boy JD Vance as our vice president as a checkmate for Trump to stay in order. By the way, I just want to point out that Dylan said with Ukraine, he said our military, and he was referring to Ukraine.
To be fair, he is embedded in the military. Yeah, to be fair, he's embedded in all the time.
I mean, I'm pretty pro Ukraine. They're not my military.
You said our army. You said our army.
I mean, to be fair, if he's embedded,
you try to catch me on some like psychological stuff. Like, yeah, sometimes I use the word
army.
like, when I work with them, I'll say, are our boys over there or are they over there? Because I'm talking.
So they're yours. They're your army. No problem.
I'm talking
your army.
Well, I mean, if you're
let me be clear. I think $150 billion to Ukraine was weak. Should have been $400 billion minimum. So my position is very pro-Ukraine, okay? So
and the pro-Israel say it should be $400 billion to Israel. You're not America first.
Well, he didn't claim to be. I don't think he said he was a global.
No, America, the country, not like Fuentes. America.
You said I want to give money to Israel or something? What?
I can't hear him.
We've entered that dark period.
Did I get muted? Have I been muted by Big Russia? Yeah. No, I support aid to Ukraine. I don't support aid to Israel. I've held that position for a long time.
Okay.
Fair enough. James with the Big Ten. And if you want to join Open Panel, the link has been dropped. You're going to hang backstage for just a little bit, but I at least want to give you the opportunity to jump in. Feel free to do so now. There's lots of extra seats back there. So if you don't make the first wave, don't worry, hang tight. You will be up soon. James comes in to say, wait, Main Street did get that 1 week with Liberation Day until the stock market dropped and ego couldn't handle it. Maybe if we have Dow 40K, Iran war will stop too. Any thoughts?
If the economy keeps going, if the oil prices keep going up and the Dow goes down and this lasts for a very long time, Trump will be more and more likely to look for an off-ramp as the midterms come closer and he gets more pressure from his party. Absolutely.
Yeah, buy Raytheon, buy Lockheed Martin.
The wars will expand. The wars will expand. I think he's going to pull a Netanyahu to try to stay in office if he's not thrown out before.
Okay. All right.
Somebody in the peanut gallery going, we lost 90,000 jobs, government jobs, all in the dole by the government. Trump cut all the government jobs. Fantastic job. Absolutely wonderful.
That's not fantastic.
1966 levels. I support it completely. Sorry, Alex, but you're going to be wrong on this one because Rachel's correct about it.
Rachel, you're correct on anything, actually. I'm sorry, but last time I checked, gutting the VA where people actually need to work there is not helping anybody, actually. So if you're going to be correct on something, you actually have your fucking facts in order.
You're getting all upset because your argument is so feeble and weak.
It's not feeble. It's based on fact, honestly. I'm sorry.
Well, actually, Rachel's
very weak. You make Omar look like he's the smartest one on the panel, Alex. That's how bad it is.
This is proof that you're a mental disorder because you're okay with the VA cutting essential workers, people that actually help veterans.
How dare you, Alex? How dare you point that out?
But as we found out through the magnanimous efforts of Doge
didn't do shit. Doge didn't do a fucking thing. Doge didn't do a fucking thing. They cut pediatric cancer research.
Thank you, Lord.
Why do you
Alex,
are we done? You're still talking over each other. So just so you all know, nobody can hear anything you're saying when you talk over each other. All they hear is so as much as you love to argue and yell, it doesn't get anywhere. Nobody hears you and it's moot. It's moot at that point. It's all a lost cause. Also, if you are going to join Open Panel, the link has been dropped into the chat. Please feel free to start heading back there on your own. Word to the wise, if you are camped up, you do have priority to get into the panel first over avatars. So just heads up there. You may do that. Everybody starts camming up. I love how they do that. Isn't that magical?
Where would people from other channels go if they wanted to join the queue?
Here, I will drop the link backstage. If you are most welcome to drop that very same thing to your own chat, because it'll be modded up that way. Or they're welcome to come over to the Raging Tomato. I will be dropping it into the chat all night right now before we move over to the Gauntlet, but you have it on your end. All right, and the final dono, and then we will be able to do closing statements for all of you, and then you can choose to stay or go. Then the Gauntlet has opened. Fourth Wiseman comes in with a big 10, says Omar brain farted. Omar, did you brain fart?
Uh-oh.
I would love more details. Sure. Great. You know what? Can you please tell us when that happens so you can send more money to the show? Thank you, Fourth Wiseman. By the way, the Fourth Wiseman is in reference to the three wise men, which were Zoroastrian priests, which were Persians, by the way. So maybe I brain farted.
Yeah, you could have brain farted. I'm all about a good brain fart. I am a mother, and I brain fart a lot. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Again, if you would like to join Open Panel, now is the time to get backstage. That's where I determine who's coming up here first, so on and so forth. Head on back there now if you have the link. If you don't know where to find it, ask a mod. All right, we're going to kick off with your closing statements. Then, of course, to the panelists, I will give each of you the ability to make this decision if you're staying or going before I kick off the Gauntlet. But let's go ahead and kick it over to Dylan. You were... go ahead with your closing thoughts, sir.
Sure. If somebody could send me the link in Discord, that'd be useful. So I could just quickly copy and paste if anybody has it.
I got you. Give me a second. I got you.
Thanks, Gib. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gib.
I think we've gone over a few topics. Look, my position on Iran is that number one, the president should not be able to do this on his own. We didn't get to discuss this, but the president of the United States blowing up the head of a foreign government. You could say, oh, we're not at war. Is it a war? Doing that could start a war, and it led to 6 dead Americans. Right? Now, that is something the American people should have a say in. When he was on the campaign trail, he did not say, I'm going to go blow up the fucking Ayatollah. I'm going to blow up the Iranian energy sector. I'm going to blow up this. I'm going to blow up that. In fact, Stephen Miller was on the campaign trail saying, if Harris becomes president, we'll go to war with Iran. That was the type of stuff that they were saying on the campaign trail. We have elected representatives. Back in the day, you had one elected representatives for 30,000 people. Now, it's one for every 800,000. We're already horribly disconnected from the people who represent us. The very least is the few who actually do, the 450 that do, should have a say on whether or not American service members are going to put immediately in harm's way. There is no proof we were in immediate danger. They keep saying it to meet legal standards, but they have not been able to put any proof forward of that. So the question is, do we have a republic where we have a say whether or not we go to war or not? Or is it we elect a man and for the next 4 years, he can throw us in whatever war he wants? Here's a question. Let's say he did this against a more powerful nation. Let's say he did this against China or India or Russia. Could the president of the United States bomb a nuclear power without the consultation of Congress under this framework? That's a genuine question. Besides that,
Oops, did I lose?
No, Dylan, I think that muted himself at the end.
Okay. I thought it was me. All right, Rachel, to you, please, your final thoughts on.
Well, first of all, thanks to everybody on the panel and to Sarah, most of all, for inviting me on here to hang out. I always find these topics interesting. There's a lot going on. There's a lot at stake. I love the United States of America. It's the greatest nation on the planet. And, God knows what's going to happen to Canada. It's moving further and further away from anything that represents me. I like your president. I like the idea of the Monroe Doctrine, how it's manifesting, how it's worked out. Be really interesting to see what happens with Cuba. I think the Greenland situation has already been established. And I want the war, I want the goal set that the people of Iran get their country back away from this oppressive regime and that state terrorism ends there. And at the end of the day, I just want everybody to get their Bible and read their Bible and learn about Jesus, because Jesus loves you all. Dylan and Omar and even little Alex, okay? And also Gibby. Gabriel Gibbs is a good boy, but he needs Jesus, just like every Republican needs Jesus.
Somebody drop the link in site chat if you can.
That's my little spiel for tonight. Now, I'm not going to hang around because we're watching the young Sherlock on the Amazon Prime. Sherlock Holmes, he's just a young boy. He's all eager and raring to go, like Alex and Dylan. He's just a young guy, raring to go. And it's so exciting, Sarah. It's young Sherlock. And I believe, like, what's his name? Ralph Fiennes. His like nephew and his brother are like major stars in this thing. So they couldn't get Ralph or what Fiennes, whatever, but they got the family members to do
Fair
the
enough.
Sherlock Holmes thing. Anyway, what a gas, Sarah. Thanks so much.
Good, thank you. Mr. Omar, to you, sir.
Wow. I appreciate being a part of this panel. I actually, as 12 years as an iOS kiddo, I know how demonic possession looks like, and I have a talent for drawing that shit out of people. Hatred is a poison inside of us, and so if we can extract it out, then we can live better. So I hope that I help people. I nothing negative with Rachel.
No, in fact, I want to have sex with you now, Omar. You were so successful in helping me.
Yeah, well, young Sherlock is
final love.
I heard young Sherlock is very good looking. So enjoy your evening. And this is the second most gay experience of my life. Monday was number one. And I thank you, Sarah, for these experiences. This is going to keep getting better, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm, America for sure. Also the world. I love America as a country, and I also think that I love the world, and I think that we should stop paying attention to the other side of it. Every great empire falls. Here's my final statement. Every great empire falls for a few key things. Yes, they overextend themselves. Yes, militarily, ideologically, usually why they go with the military, but there's also a spiritual component to that. You can look at actually the fall of Egypt, Greece, Rome, England in many ways, and now the United States. It's always when the hubris goes to a certain level where the ruling elite are actually pedophiles. It happened in Egypt when Greek took them over. And then when Rome came, they called them the Greek boy lovers, right? And then Rome was doing the same thing where they knew that their elite were sacrificing children and doing, it was rumored with the open pedophilia. And we're in that stage now again. And it is somewhat biblical, as Rachel said. Jesus also said he did not come to change the law, he came to fulfill it. He also said that not a jot or tittle will be changed until the day of judgment. He was pointing at Moses' laws, and Moses' laws wouldn't really agree with your decisions for yourself. So maybe, but anyway,
right.
Listen, I hope, I pray for all the innocent people. I really do. I hope that everyone finds their own peace, and I hope that we can all start thinking for ourselves. The ideologies are a bad thing, and we're more susceptible to them as the world becomes a smaller place through the internet.
Perfect. Thank you, Omar. Mr. Kirsch, to you.
First things first, Sarah, thank you so much. I wasn't even trying to squeeze myself in the panel, but she's like, you want him? I'm like, yep, absolutely. So I want to thank the panelists. This has been a very enlightening conversation, even for little Alex, me, that's 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, very little, tiny, dainty. Don't know a word just yet, dear Lord baby Jesus. But anyway, as I was saying, when it comes down to the final topic, I mean, my position has not shifted whatsoever. This was a bad fucking idea. This is a really bad foreign policy decision, especially on the administration. But I'm not surprised. It's just another campaign promise. This is the same guy that said he ended the war between, Cambodia and Armenia, which they were never at war with one another. He couldn't even get his countries right. He said he would end the war between Russia and Ukraine within 24 hours before he even took office. That was also another campaign promise, lie broken. He also said he was going to bring down grocery prices. Grocery prices are going up. He said tariffs are going to help the country. They don't help the country whatsoever. So why should I listen to a word that Trump has to say that's accurate? Him saying that this is going to be over. We have no idea how long this is going to last. All I know is that this is not going to help us out in the long run. As a matter of fact, it's going to hurt us significantly. Like we saw what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. It didn't actually make us any safer than we already were at that point. As a matter of fact, more freedoms were taken away. We're actually seeing freedoms restricted more in this country. And it's not for the sake of, and they'll say for the sake of national security, we're doing these things. I mean, you can't complain about the Patriot Act and be okay with what's going on right now. But at the end of the day, we look at what's going on in Iran. This has never been about saving people. Trump made that clear when he talked to Dana Besh on CNN. He said that's not our concern right now. If they're more than likely going to try to put a puppet regime in place. But this is all about what? Stealing resources. And Israel wants to create greater Israel, essentially. That is their plan. I mean, we saw it on Monday. They showed us the unit patch that all their IDF soldiers are wearing. They're not even hiding it anymore, honestly. I mean, we should all be concerned about this, because I don't want, and it's not because I hate my country. I love my country, and I don't want our service members being sent off to a war that never needed to happen in the first place, because war happens because of failed diplomacy. And if you're so hard up about sending our sons and daughters and all the members of our military to fight in the war when you bother to not do it yourself, then guess what? I got a name for you. You're called a chicken hawk, a person that was chicken when it was there trying to serve, but now they come back 20 plus years later and they want to go kick everybody's ass. Shame on you.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Alex. And to you, Mr.
Amen.
Gibbs.
Well, first, Alex, if you're that tiny at 6 foot, then come on down to Papa Gibbs and I'll feed you some barbecue. In fact, y'all all invited, and we'll fatten y'all up with American homegrown beef. Buy American beef. Secondly, Rachel, I got to tell you, this is a first for me. The non-devout, like non-super strict Christian just told.
Just call me a sinner.
Hold on. Just told a Southern Baptist reverend with 2 doctorates in religion that he needs to find Jesus. I don't know whether to be proud or happy about that, but it's entertaining. And no, that's not an invitation to turn this into a religious debate night. I don't want to do that shit. We're not in seminary school today, so fuck that. But furthermore, buy American beef, buy American leather. Get your stocks right now. Lockheed Martin's through the roof. Raytheon's doing real good. America's good. Y'all brought up the drones. Brownsville, Texas, built a new USO facility. I think there's a drone facility in Arizona. The time is now, and it's not insider trading because they've already told you we're attacking Cuba next. So go on Polymarket and start gambling. Boys, that's the secret. You can make some money now. And I'm excited to get into the open. And once again, if y'all start trying to do religious debate night, I'm going to find y'all and I'm going to hunt you down and then return you to the barbecue.
Beautifully said. All right. Rachel, I believe you were making your exit. Dylan, are you hanging out?